Yeah.
You know, look, I've been reading this paper because I got to stay to the, I got a headache trying to stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dunk. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do.
I would say you heard it straight from the horse's mouth, but it was really the other end. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am the Black Authority, and all of you are listening live to the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. Of course, you're here to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, let me tell you here, folks, I mean, I had the option here. I had the option of waiting. I know y'all been loving it the way we've been blowing it out the box here for the last week here, going into Juneteenth and whatnot, but I could not wait here. And yes, I was aware of this because this is actually from a few days ago. I was aware of it when it happened, but I had other things I felt were more important and need to be taken care of then, because I know I can always come back and put them things on Steve and Kamala, and I wanted to wait until the weekend, but I just decided, you know what, I can't wait. Can't wait any longer. If I need to, I'll double up on them, because some things are so egregious. Some things are just so outrageous. Some things are just so egregious that you just got, we got to go ahead and get to it as quickly as we can. So I'll double up on them if I need to. But I felt like it was imperative that we address this. And as you see, you saw how I opened the program tonight, because I wanted you all to see that these are the levels of treachery that we're dealing with here. But also to show you that them folks is panicking. They don't went, as far as they're concerned, they grabbed the big guns for the ones who would go along with them. Them folks are panicking. And all the people who spent all this time telling you, ain't nobody listening to the new black media, y'all ain't pulling no weight down there. Them folks ain't worried about what y'all talking about. And there's Steve Harvey sitting. I want to play the video for you all so you could see at this, I think it's 100 Black Men conference. Steve Harvey is sitting right there in front of Kamala Harris, and he had to let the thing out the bag that this is just a political rally for them. And I don't want to hear none of y'all calling me up talking about you asking nothing but softball questions. Now, there was a moment of maximum cringe, because he know what's coming. You sitting there asking a bunch of softball questions. Well, I don't want to hear y'all talking about we just asking softball questions because this the way the game is played. Yeah, this is the way you play the game if you want to lose. Although I guess for Steve, It's not that big of an issue right there now, is it? Because, isn't it very interesting when you got a nigga that got his already? You got a nigga that got his already. And yet he's sitting up here telling you and telling me about what it is that we need to be doing. He's sitting up here telling you and me what we need to be doing. But he's got his, while he's telling you and me what we can do without. While he's sitting up there enjoying it and telling all the rest of us what we can go home without. And that's the way that's always been done with us. So I wanted you all to see, while they got him up there, they think he playing the Negro Whisperer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of this here for you now. This goes on for a minute, quite frankly. It goes on for a minute here, but there's so many points we need to touch on in here. And I'm not going to do a bunch of stopping, although YouTube and algorithms and things like that. Fair use, YouTube. But anyway, I want to play for you what Kamala Harris was sitting there saying. I want to play for you what she was saying during this thing, so you all can hear for yourself what it was he was asking. And because the part I just played for you was like 10, 12 minutes into it. So she had already been talking for 10 minutes before Steve felt like he needed to cover his bulbous ass with his patent leather shoes on. But in any case, I want you all to hear what she had to say, because I've got some extras we want to put on tonight. Oh yeah, by the way, one more thing, in case you were wondering. No, I didn't miss out on it here. Of course, Bowling Ball Martin is wrapped up in it. He ain't gonna get what he wants, though. Roland is still waiting on that call, y'all, to be press secretary to somebody. He's still waiting on it, and he gonna be waiting. But in any case, we're gonna start from the beginning here. I want you to hear Kamala Harris's remarks. No, they start off laughing. All the bougie niggas, all the bougie bourgeois niggas, while the rest of us out here suffering. This is no damn laughing matter. Our lives are serious as hell. First thing you hear is them suffering. I want you to know the difference between those of us in the field and them up there in the big house. Yeah, they love chuckling it up in the big house. By the way.
Thank you very much. Shall we? Okay.
Well, how are you, Madam Vice President?
I am very well, Mr. Harvey.
You've been
How
pretty
you doing?
busy.
Yeah, I'm in these streets.
Yeah, you are, really, you are.
Uh-huh.
No, that was 30 years ago. She was in them streets 30 years ago. Montel Williams, Willie Brown. She was in them streets. Well, then again, she might still be in them streets. I don't know. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but then again, she might still be in them streets. So she might be trying to let you know, hey, there's a video getting ready to come out. Yeah, there's a video getting ready to leak. Just in case y'all see it. Hey, Doug.
What's your schedule after this?
So I just flew in from Washington, D.C. After I'd leave here, I go back to Air Force Two to go back to D.C., and then about 4 hours later, I get back on the plane to go to Switzerland to do a few meetings there regarding what's happening in Europe, and particularly what's happening with Ukraine. And then I will do those meetings and then come right back.
Me and Marjorie going to Croatia Tuesday. That plane you on, can we use Air Force Two? That's the one. That's nice. Hey, listen, let's get started, because this is important information. You and I have talked about this many times before on my show, and it's a lot of things you've been doing. This past fall, you had a Fight for Our Freedoms college tour.
Yeah.
And you talked to over 15,000 college students to expand upon all of the urgent issues that concerned us as a people. And you've been traveling across the country doing a lot of other things. And just recently, after addressing the epidemic of gun violence and women's rights, reproductive rights, and all of this that seem to be have taken away, you've launched an economic opportunity tour. So tell us a little bit about this tour and why you launched it.
Okay, so she's on an economic opportunity tour. And he's sitting here talking about what she's doing for our people. By the way, one more thing, that hum that you hear, that's not me. And I don't know who is in charge of these events or whatever, but the audio person, they need to hand him his pink slip on the way out the door. So that hum is not me. There's not anything I can do about it. I don't know how in the hell Channel 11 let that go on like that. I don't know what the world was happening, but in any case, I can't do anything about the hum. I think you can hear his coonery and buffoonery well enough, though. But so he's talking about economic opportunity. Okay, so listen to what she has to say, because I guess he thought they talking to 100 black men. We got to open strong. So let's hear what Kamala Harris has to say about the Biden administration and economic opportunity for, quote unquote, our people.
So I'll start by talking about where we are right now. So this hotel, many may know, was referred to as the Hotel of Hope. This was the only hotel that allowed Dr. King to speak. And it was here in this very ballroom that Dr. King gave one of his last speeches. I think it was the last one in his Poor People's Campaign, talking about, of course, what he was on the verge of doing, which was to merge the civil rights movement which is, of course, a movement about justice, with the movement around economic justice. And it was shortly after he was here that he was assassinated. And so the symmetry of being here as the first black vice president of the United States to talk about the important economic opportunity for the community, something that I feel very strongly about. And so I'm doing this tour. Thank you. So I'm doing this tour mostly because I believe that for those of us who do the kind of work that our administration is doing, that President Biden and I are doing, in order for it to be real, it's got to hit the streets. And the only way that that will happen in a meaningful way is if the people are aware of what is available to them and then take advantage of that.
Has she said anything about us yet? Now, I let her sit here and babble on for the last 2 minutes. Did you all hear anything about us yet? She sits up here and talking about the hotel and says, oh, Dr. King was here. Okay, Dr. King. And has she said anything about us yet? With all that prattling on and all that rambling on she's doing, has she said a word about us yet? No. And there's the whole point. We asked about us and economic opportunity is, oh, look at the nice hotel we're in. Man, we don't need a damn tour guide. We didn't ask you to be a tour guide. We asked you, hey, what about that economic opportunity? And then she starts rambling on. She doesn't do this with them other folk. She doesn't do this with Asians, Jewish people, Latinos, illegal aliens. She don't do that with them. They get straight down to business. They get straight down to brass tacks. With us, here, let me take you down memory lane. And she ain't even qualified to do it.
President Biden and I are doing. In order for it to be real, it's got to hit the streets. And the only way that that will happen in a meaningful way is if the people are aware of what is available to them and then take advantage of that. So I wanted to come and speak to 100 black men, to this organization, because I know who everyone here is. This is a room full of leaders of every age who can help get the word out about what we have made available, because it's so important people take advantage of what's available. So I'm doing this tour to, one, highlight the importance of speaking truth about the obstacles that have existed for access to capital, for home ownership, for black folks, and what we are doing to actually deal with those obstacles in a way that we create opportunity. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. So, for example, what we're doing around reduction of debt, debt forgiveness, what we are doing to address the racial wealth gap as it relates to a number of issues, including access to capital for our small businesses and entrepreneurs, what it means in terms of housing discrimination, and the work that we need to do and will continue to do to
I feel like Anton Chigurh for in No Country for Old Men. You already said that. You said that already about housing. Housing. We said economic opportunities. Yeah, want to buy a house? You know, like we did y'all in 2008? Yeah, you said that already. We heard you the first time. So now she's just talking in circles. So this is intended to get the single mother vote, I guess. Here, go take on $400,000 of debt. We put you on the $250,000 back in 2008. Here, how would you add another $200,000 on top of that?
Address those issues. And really the essence of this tour is born out of a belief that people need more than just what is necessary to get by. We want to get ahead. And we know that it is important that we have reduced black unemployment to historic lows. But that's a baseline, which is that people have a job. In our community, we also have ambition, aspirations, incredible ideas. And the division between that and actually being able to put it to use is often about access to the relations to the capital that can take us from those good ideas to creating a business, starting a business, growing a business. So that's why I'm doing this tour.
Okay, so y'all heard that? Folks, she didn't say nothing. She didn't say anything. She sat there and did all that damn rambling. She didn't say nothing. Oh, you know, we need housing and, you know, discrimination and no debt. Okay, at the end of it, she ain't said nothing. And, of course, they start clapping. They start clapping like baby seals. She didn't say nothing, you dumb niggas. She didn't say anything. And furthermore, she didn't make any specific promises. Now, she said folks need to know about all the things we're doing so they can take advantage of that. And then she doesn't name a damn thing. Remember, she started off, folks need to know about it so we can tell them how to take advantage of it. And then she doesn't say anything. Now, we're going to let you go on here because you think she's about to say something. In reality, she isn't. But I'm going to go ahead and let her play so Bowling Ball Martin, his audience, you should have let her talk, Jason. She said some more. Oh, don't worry. I'm going to get you too.
Well, let's talk about this capital for entrepreneurs and small businesses, because that's been a really important part of your mandate here as vice president. But little do a lot of people know, you were doing this long before you even got to the White House.
Okay, now I want y'all to understand this part that Steve Harvey talking about here. This is for us, okay? This is the White House. This goes, if you all have ever doubted the efficacy of the new black media, if you've ever doubted the efficacy of our work for the last decade and a half, going on 2 decades, here they are in front of Kamala Harris, and they're directly addressing us. And what we've been saying, if you thought them body blows didn't get through, if you thought that they're not worried as hell about what's going on, if you thought that this was isolated to just our, quote, small corner of the internet, we're not a small corner of the internet, and they're letting you know they've gotten their numbers, they're taking a look at their polls, what we are saying is resonating across the country, and they're encountering it everywhere. So for the first time ever, you see Kamala Harris, and they're coming out the gate trying to address entrepreneurship and raising capital. Now, where the hell was Barack Obama with this? Where the hell was Vice President Joe Biden with this? Where was Joe Biden for the last 4 damn years with this? Now they're in trouble, and they want to sit up here and throw out all these red herrings that are going to infer things without promising anything. They're not going to let this go. This is the strategy they're going to use. So I'm playing for you everything before Steve Harvey put his foot up his mouth, so you can hear him talking about this. But by the way, now they're letting you know they're directly addressing us. They're coming out the gate talking about economics. They're not talking about getting a degree. They're not talking about getting some religion. They're not talking about integration. They're not talking about peace, love, and happiness. You know, what they've been saying for the last 50 years. They're not saying that anymore. Now they're coming out talking about what we've been saying now going on 20 years. What about the money? Where's the money? Cut the check. Now they're talking about the economics. Starting out the gate, that's what they're coming out talking about. Well, I'll be damned. So let me just understand. So all the sidewalk sissy jackasses spend all this time telling you that they're not listening to us and they don't hear us and it ain't getting through. And I'm showing you, by the way, don't listen to Jason Black. Listen to our enemies. They said it's getting through. Don't believe me. Don't listen to me. Listen to them. They're the ones echoing everything we're saying here. Now it's gotten all the way up there. Don't you know that Steve Harvey's trying to tell them you're in trouble? And by the way, they gave him these questions to ask. He didn't choose these questions. They told him what to say on these cards here, and he's just reading it like the ape he is. But folks, they are trying to directly debate and fight and combat what we are saying now. Oh, don't listen to them folks. Don't listen to that black channel talking about economics. Listen to what we done about economics. And we're waiting for them to say something. Now, here's where they think they're going to say something, but trust me, it goes off the rails relatively quickly.
For entrepreneurs and small businesses. Well, let's talk about this capital for entrepreneurs and small businesses, because that's been a really important part of your mandate here as Vice President. But little do a lot of people know, you were doing this long before you even got to the White House.
What? Really, nigga? So now he's trying. First, they couldn't give her black credentials. Now they're trying to give her economic credentials. Since when?
Because that's been a really important part.
Trust me, it's probably about filing lawsuits against banks. Oh, they were discriminating. It's probably about that.
Of your mandate here as Vice President. But little do a lot of people know, you were doing this long before you even got to the White House. You have been a huge proponent about entrepreneurship dollars and stuff that's available now, and a lot of people are not aware, and there's a lot of, like you say, really brilliant people in this audience here who are entrepreneurs. The minds in this room is really startling, man. There's some really sharp people here, right? And if they only knew what was available for them. Tell us more about this work for small business and entrepreneurs.
So like you said, Steve, when I was in the United States Senate, I actually was responsible with a group of other senators for getting $12 billion more into our community banks. So the importance of community banks is they are, as they are called, they're in the community, led by members of the community. They are people who understand the capacity of the community, the needs of the community, the culture of the community. They are folks who, unlike the big banks, will see the dream that an individual has for what is possible.
Now, did you all get that? Somebody in the chat room got that immediately. Black banks? She talking about community banks. Are these black community banks or are these white community banks? And oh, take a look. The black folk can go to the white community bank. So he asked about us and she's talking about, well, we're going to put money into the community banks. Whose community? So do you see the damn trick bag language? You asked about black folk and then she talks about how they're going to plow money into white banks so you can go ask them for something. So instead of Kamala Harris turning you down, well, we gave it to the banks could have gave it to you there, now they can turn you down, which is what they've been doing. But then they're putting it in our community banks. So she names off this big number of billions of dollars for the community banks. Yeah, just not in the black community. I'm trying to show you that this is how serious they are about pulling over this trick bag on us. This is how dedicated to it they are to be able to do that. They understand that they're in trouble. They understand that it's a problem. They understand that, and it's the same old trick bag language that we've been dealing with here the whole time. Same old same. Do not be deceived. So just right there when she gets started, there you go, community banks.
So the money that we are putting in community banks is intentional in that it is there that we believe there is going to be the greatest opportunity for folks in the community to actually do the work that is about entrepreneurship. Since I've been vice president, I also created what's called.
So you heard that. We're going to put the money in the community banks, the same white community banks that are turning you down today and giving all the money to their white friends in the community. And she said, I think that'll give you your best chance. This is what happens when you've been living white all this time. This is what happens when you go home to Doug. This is what happens when you spent your life sucking white asses. You say stupid stuff. And folks in that audience should have started booing her out of that building and saying, what kind of con job you trying to run? Now that's what they should have done. But of course, they are not stand up enough people to do such a thing. And I would not expect them to do such a thing either here. But just for the record, wanted you to understand that I wanted you to get that part right there, that she sat there and told you, oh, by the way, I think giving this money to white community banks, that's her economic plan for black people. Did you get that? Giving the money to white community banks is her economic plan for black people. That is the plan. Wow. You just heard her say it herself. Notice the word that was missing was black. When she said community banks, y'all get it now. Y'all get the trick bag language. You're listening for the word black. Hey, I didn't hear the word black in there. What, are these going to be black community banks? How much you giving to the black ones? Notice when we try to pin them down on that the trick bag language is when we ask them about black folk and then they omit, their answer omits the word black. That's how you know it's the trick bag.
The Economic Opportunity Council, and I got the big money that we are putting in community banks is intentional in that it is there that we believe there is going to be the greatest opportunity for folks in the community to actually do the work that is about entrepreneurship.
The folks in the community, she means the white folks in the community that have been turning you down already. By the way, I stopped that there because I wanted you to hear. You heard she said it's intentional. Did you get that? It's intentional. So do you understand? She's choosing all. Remember, Kamala Harris is a lawyer. So is Joe Biden. At least he was before he lost his mind. Kamala Harris is a lawyer. That's why she's using all this trick bag language. She said it's intentional. So in other words, when they don't do it, when it doesn't happen, when it doesn't do anything for us, then she's going to come back and say, well, our intention, we had intentions. It was our intention for the community banks to do that. And the community banks, oh, well, gosh, golly, gee willikers. It was our intent, but the community banks just didn't fulfill it. So we have to do more where that's concerned there, Ah, shucks, beaver. That's what they'll be saying there. So I wanted to roll that back so you can hear her say what we're doing with the banks is intentional. So what she's saying is, well, it's our intention that they spread the money to you. We're going to give it to the community banks, and it's our intention that they spread it to you. And then when they don't, well, it was our intention that they do it. It's not our fault if they didn't. Discrimination rolls on. We shall overcome one day. Vote for us November 2020. Vote for us November 2055.
The money that we are putting in community banks is intentional in that it is there that we believe there is going to be the greatest opportunity for folks in the community to actually do the work that is about entrepreneurship. Since I've been vice president, I also created what's called the Economic Opportunity Council, and I got the big banks and big tech companies to invest private equity into community banks. And we're on track to getting $3 billion more into community banks because of.
So you heard that? Well, I talked to the big private banks and we got together, and what we're going to do for black folk is I'm going to get them to give more money to community banks. So do you see? Every time we ask them what you doing for us, she keeps talking about something other than this will trickle down to you. It's our intention that this will trickle down to you eventually. Now, everybody else gets direct benefits. They cut the check to the Asians. They cutting checks to non-citizens, illegal aliens right now, and telling you and me, well, we put together this super complicated, convoluted scheme with the large investment banks. We're not going to we're going to help black folks to give the money to white folk. Just like Sally Struthers and Feed the Children, just like every charity. No. We're going to tell everybody how bad your circumstances are, but we're not going to give the money to you. No, we got some white folk over here we're going to give the money to. And then we're going to leave it up to them to bring the money to you. So we're going to give it to them, and then they'll be in charge, and they'll decide how much goes to you. Oh, wait a minute, this white company is going to give it to another white company, is going to give it to another white company, and then we'll see if they hire some of you Negroes to sweep their floors.
Banks and big tech companies. Since I've been vice president, I also created what's called the Economic Opportunity Council, and I got the big banks and big tech companies to invest private equity into community banks. And we're on track to getting $3 billion more into community banks because of that partnership.
And tell you how dumb the audience is, although you know they're all paid for Democrat shills, but they sitting there clapping for the woman who ain't for you. They're sitting there clapping for something that isn't even for them. How dumb do you have to be after all these years? They're clapping and applauding something that's not even for them. Talk about gullible. I thought these were supposed to be the smart people in the room. Jason, why come you don't work with 100 black men? Because they only have one working brain among the 100 black men.
And there's a specific piece of that that's very important. You know that VCs, venture capitalists, only 2% of their investments go to black businesses, right? We also know that black folks are 1/3, I think the number is 3 times less likely to apply for business loans. And a big part of that is that nobody likes to be disappointed, right? And the feeling, rightly, after so many things can disappoint, that I don't want to go for it and then be rejected. So again, putting the money into community banks is about putting it into a place where people can walk in with a sense of dignity that is respected to actually be able to have access to capital.
Folks, you know, her and Joe Biden run the Small Business Administration. But the SBA makes a bunch of commercial loans. So if they really wanted to do something, why the hell we bull jiving with community banks? Why don't the SBA sit up here and say, okay, we're going to break it off for black folks now? Why does the SBA go ahead and that's something you can do directly? Notice she's doing an in run around that, knowing full damn well they control the SBA. Now the SBA, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac really give out all the home loans in this country. And then you got the SBA, a bunch of white folk get money from the SBA. Why are we going through these damn community banks? The SBA should be set up to go ahead and have a damn express lane for us. And you can't go after them on terms of discrimination. Here, we just gonna flip the dynamics. Up until now, we were giving 90% of the loans to white folk, and we're gonna give 5% to white folk and 90% to black folk. Can't say discrimination. Oh well, and you know the numbers are kind of skewed there. I mean, disparate impact. You can't sue for that. So okay, we already established disparate impact. You can't sue for that. So hey, that's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles. She keeps talking about this damn community bank garbage like it means something. So that's a red herring. Let me tell you how diabolical this heifer is. She keeps saying the word community because they focus tested this. You know, when black folk hear the word community, she keeps hammering that community thing. Black folk community, black community, black community, community. Will they even notice that you dropped the black from it? Will they even notice that you drop the word black from it? It doesn't matter whether it's a community bank or a national bank. They're all white banks and they're all putting up the stop sign for us. So that's the only thing she came with so far is community. This Nazi Germany style trick bag language. If you all agree with what I'm saying here tonight, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 4,000 people in here live. It's going on 4,400 people in here live in just the first 34 minutes. And we're going to go ahead and break all of this down. But this is Kamala Harris talking to Steve Harvey just this week. And I want you to see exactly what the foolery was.
So we're doing that. The other piece that we have done is from the day that we came in office as an administration, President Biden and I made a commitment that we would increase federal government contracts by 50% to minority-owned businesses.
Nigga, please.
All right, now we all heard that trick bag language straight up the middle now, didn't you? I don't even have to do the rewind on that one, but I will. But we all heard that one. Yeah, you were waiting and listening for it. We listening for the word black. Ain't heard the word black yet. We hearing community. We hearing minority. Now you know what comes next. People of color and disadvantaged communities ain't said the word black yet. She was sitting in a room full of black folks. She's being questioned by a coon black male. She's supposed to be talking about black people. She was asked about black folk and has said everything except black. Now here we go with the minorities.
Capital. So we're doing that. The other piece that we have done is from the day that we came in office as an administration, President Biden and I made a commitment that we would increase federal government contracts by 50% to minority-owned businesses. And understand what that means. Once you get a federal contract, it's usually for 5 years, and you can renew it for 10, 20, 30 years.
I know Clark Construction, Halliburton, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, all these white companies been getting contracts for decades and decades. Now you're going to bring in your people, the Asians, and the illegal aliens, by the way. Everything except us. Yeah, outright white supremacists, Elon Musk and SpaceX. Yeah, we know you can get government contracts for years and decades. We know you can. We've been sitting here watching you give them to every non-black person in the damn book. We don't want to hear about this damn minority stuff.
So, Steve, unless somebody messes that thing up, it's yours for a very long time, which is going to be a source of incredible wealth growing opportunity.
Now, do you hear how evil this deceitful little lying wretch is? So, Steve, unless you mess that up, excuse me, you gotta get it first. It ain't about if you mess it up, you gotta get it first. How you gonna mess? She's talking as if, do y'all understand? She's sitting up here selling you on the idea that you already got it. Why, it's right there for the takings. Why, I mean, you gonna have it unless you mess that up. Excuse me, you have to get it first, don't you? Now, right now, they're talking about making selective service automatic. The taxes are automatic, but for a government contract, well, see if you can roll the dice and win the lottery and get a gold medal at the Olympics, and then see if you can come back and come get something here. So she's talking all these inferred things. She's giving you a sales pitch. She's talking as if we already got it, and all we got to do is just not mess it up. Meanwhile, man, we can't get nothing. We can't get anything. That's the problem. It's not that we all don't know they're there. You can't get them. So no, we ain't messing them up because we can't have it.
Years, and you can renew it for 10, 20, 30 years. So, Steve, unless somebody messes that thing up, it's yours for a very long time, which is going to be a source of incredible wealth growing opportunity for yourself, for your family, and for your community. So these are some of the things we've done around access to capital to address the disparities that have for two.
Okay, access to capital, not a damn thing for black folk. The same old same. We're going to give money to white community banks. That's for you. I mean, this is something you can tap into. How many of you feel confident that you can walk into one of these local community banks and tell them, well, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris gave y'all $30 billion. I'm here for 100,000. They gave you 30 billion. Hey, I'm black. I'm here for 100,000. Like you give the white folk. How many of you feel like that trip to the bank is going to go well? Because Kamala just told you that was what was for you. And then she turns around and says, oh yeah, and we're going to increase government contracts. As if black folk ain't been talking about government contracts now for 60, 70 damn years. More of the same. So just lying her ass off in a safe group where nobody's going to push back and say what I just said. Steve Harvey is sitting over there, counting his coon coins. But nobody's going to sit there and call out what she just said.
Too long existed. And I put this all in the context of another reason I'm doing it. A source of incredible wealth growing opportunity for yourself, for your family, and for your community. So these are some of the things we've done around access to capital to address the disparities that have for too long existed. And I put this all in the context of another reason I'm doing this tour. Since we came in office, we passed the bipartisan infrastructure law. We are putting billions of dollars on the streets of America to upgrade sidewalks, roads, bridges, freeways. Do you know that over 90% of construction companies employ 20 or fewer people?
What the hell does this have to do with us? Did you know that the majority of the construction companies are white and Hispanic and Asian owned? Because have you seen the cost to get a bulldozer and a backhoe, and not even to mention the regulations? Regulations and permits. Have you seen? What the hell does that have to do with us? So this is more of that Roland Martin rambling where they just name everything they've done and then they tell you, well, this indirectly benefits you. If the white company hires people, doesn't that help you? Her economic plan for black people is give billions of dollars to white people. That's the economic plan for black folk. As usual.
Sidewalks, roads, bridges, freeways. Do you know that over 90% of construction companies employ 20 or fewer people? Those are small businesses. Think about, we are putting over $1 trillion, by my calculation, on the streets of America over the next 10 years to invest in a clean energy economy. Adaptation, resilience to extreme climate occurrences. Federal contracts. What we are doing with the CHIPS and Science Act, we are investing in semiconductor manufacturing here in the United States because we know, and we learned if we didn't know before during the pandemic, this supply chain thing can really mess you up.
Folks, we asked what you gonna do for black people, and she's talking about damn me semiconductors. Which I know all about that right there. For those of you who need to know, in Arizona, of all damn places, because semiconductor production takes tons and tons of water, and you're going to start building plants in Arizona and West Texas. Oh, yeah, so Elon Musk can get in on that too. So, folks, they talking about Intel. That CHIPS Act is going to spend hundreds of billions of dollars to get the companies that took their semiconductor production out of the United States back in the 80s to pay them this extortion money to bring the production back to America. Because God forbid that they should have to pay to bring it back, since they paid to take it over there to Asia. Now we're going to pay them to bring it back. And then once they get it here, folks, they're building plants in Texas, in the Austin area, in Arizona. These plants are what they call foundries. These foundries cost anywhere from $3 to $5 billion to build a semiconductor foundry. $3 to $5 billion is how much one of those foundries will cost you to make. Now, here's the next thing. Y'all have probably seen the YouTube videos about the machine that they use to do the imprinting on the to make the transistors. It's only one company over there in Norway or Scandinavia that makes it. They charge over $200 or $300 million per machine. The machine that takes the swamp gas, no, I'm serious, is the type of swamp gas that they use for it and whatnot, and that's how they imprint something that's the width of a human hair on the transistors that goes to your car. And those machines cost $200 or $300 million a piece. That's just the machine that does the printing. That's not everything else that goes into a semiconductor chip foundry. What I'm saying is we have nothing to do with that. We got nothing. She's talking as if we all gonna pull up to the damn Intel factory there. Yeah, we're here to get our Man, are you kidding me? First of all, they've already started building on their foundries. There's nothing for you to do. Second of all, how many black folk own a semiconductor chip foundry? I'll wait. I'll wait for that one. I'll wait. What are you talking about? In the chat room, you are correct. Actually, that they can run up to $10 billion per foundry. There are going to be smaller ones. It depends on the size of it and whatnot. That's why they're trying to build so many of them. But you're correct. For a large scale one, if they have more than one lithography machine in there, that it can run up to $10 billion for a foundry. So good call on that one. You're absolutely correct. It can run up to $10 billion if for the large one. Probably the one they're building outside of Austin, Texas. That's probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $10 billion. Here's the thing, you never know for sure because they might spend $2 billion and then tell you that it cost them $5 billion, or they might spend $4 billion and then tell you that it costs $10 billion, and then they're making money from day one because they've written off everything. When you're dealing with something that costs hundreds of millions of dollars, people overstate and exaggerate the expense tremendously. You and me, you sit up here and try to get a damn child tax credit you ain't supposed to have and watch what the hell happens to you. The IRS gonna come knocking your damn door down. The rest of these people can fake billions of dollars. Amazon and these companies, AT&T, these companies say we didn't make no money. Yeah, we had $500 billion in revenue, but we didn't make any profit. We made $0 in profit. So yeah. Tell the IRS we didn't make nothing. The IRS is like, you didn't make nothing? Nope, we didn't make anything. Okay, no profit at all. Nothing at all? Nope, not a dime. Oh, okay. But you and me, they run in our pockets. So I want y'all to be aware of that. When you hear these astronomical numbers, in reality, I don't really trust any of them because I know what these companies do. But here's my point. No matter what the number is, we ain't got nothing to do with semiconductor manufacturing. We wish we did. I wish we did. But there are going to be 0 black people and 0 black contractors involved unless she's talking about folk to sit up here and sweep the floor. What the hell is she talking about? Has she stopped to put any of this in context? Okay, Kamala, I heard about bridges and roads and infrastructure and the CHIPS Act, and that helps black people. How, Kamala? She ain't said nothing yet.
Semiconductor manufacturing here in the United States, because we know and we learned, if we didn't know before during the pandemic, this supply chain thing can really mess you up. And we need domestic production and manufacturing of some of these essential needs. So in the last 3 years, our accomplishments around growing the economy of America in a broad-based economic policy means putting trillions of federal dollars into the economy, which will require for it to be meaningful, folks to take up those contracts to do the work that is about building up our nation. So that's part of why I'm here, is to ask everyone here, help me get out the word of what we are doing, and that the Small Business Administration, as an example, and we have representatives here, we have the Deputy Secretary of Commerce here, the Deputy Secretary of Treasury here, help get the word out about what is available, because too often, like I said, black folks are 3 times less likely to apply for these things.
Now, y'all heard what I just heard. You heard her go talking in circles about CHIPS Act and infrastructure and community banks and SBA. Did you hear a damn word about black people? Not a word, not a syllable. And then she said, so, now that I've said all that, help me get the word out. What? Y'all heard what she just said. That was her sales pitch. And she just said, now that you've heard it, go help me get the word out. But what we're doing for black folk. So that was it. After 4 years in office, that's what they've done. We're going to make plenty of money for white folks, and we need you all to keep doing what you've been doing. Here, go apply for SBA loans so we can turn you down, and then go apply for federal contracts so we can turn you down. And oh, well, somebody got it out there. They'll give it to 1 or 2 Negroes and then tell you about all the contracts out there. with Clark Construction posted up on every street corner in D.C.
But we got to let people know that it's there so that they will apply and take advantage of what we are doing, including we have finally gotten rid of the prohibition on people with a criminal record being able to apply for SBA loans. We just got
Nigga, please. Yeah, you heard that right. You heard it. Oh yeah, by the way, and she saved that for last because she knows Miss Prosecutor Attorney General, who was responsible for giving so many black people felonies in California. So she should know a thing or two about black folk with felonies. She should know a thing or two. She was giving out most of them. But by the way, she waited until the last minute there to tell you, oh yeah, and one more thing. We've dropped the prohibition for people who have felonies to apply for SBA loans. So let me get this straight. The folk who are most down and out. What the hell is somebody with a felony supposed to do with at the SBA? What the hell are you talking about? But you heard it with your own eyes, or with your own ears. This is for minorities. Oh yes, and we've dropped the prohibition for felons. This is what they come to black folk for. By the way, what's good for felons is good for you. What's good for felons is good for you. Do they go anywhere else talking about here's what we're doing for the criminal element? What's good for felons is good for you.
got rid of that. They will apply and take advantage of what we are doing, including we have finally gotten rid of the prohibition on people with a criminal record being able to apply for SBA loans. We just got rid of that. So now, for those who are formally incarcerated or who have a conviction for a crime, that will no longer prohibit people from being eligible for small business loans. Help me get the word out. That's why I'm here.
Well, that's good, because you might as well be able to get a small business loan, because you can be president, too, with a criminal record. So that's a nice exchange. Ain't that about a...
Yeah.
You know, look, I've been reading this paper because I got to stay to the... I got a headache trying to stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is.
Now, that was a moment of maximum cringe, because y'all just heard Steve Harvey interjected out of nowhere to say, by the way, before you all call up my radio station and say, you ain't asking her no hard questions. So what he's letting her know, whether she acknowledges or not, is, by the way, hey, baby, this ain't gonna fly. I want y'all to understand what Steve is really letting her know. He's letting her know, by the way, ma'am, I can already hear my audience calling me up. This isn't gonna fly with them. This ain't gonna do it. That he's stepping in and say, by the way, this ain't gonna work. Before y'all call me up, give me hell, I mean, this ain't what it is. So he's acknowledging, if he heard something in there that he could have defended, he would have said, this is what we've been talking about. So all y'all folks want to call me up, you finally got your answer. This is what we need to do. This is what they offering. And ain't nobody else offering that. He's already acknowledging, yeah, she ain't offering nothing. She's not offering anything, and I'm not going to press her on it. So he's letting you know, yeah, this is dead. By the way, let me go ahead and show you on your screens here, because I've been trying to avoid YouTube's little copyright system, but there it is on your screen right there. I'll go ahead and back it up so you can see. Take a look at her sitting over there laughing.
Stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is...
So you can see she laughing, but that laugh is coming off of her face there slowly.
Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions. That ain't what this is.
Okay, watch that smile starts melting off her face right here.
I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk because this.
That smile starts melting down because she heard that. It's like, yeah, baby, I can't defend this garbage you saying. I can't defend none of this. You were supposed to come here and give me some cover to hide behind. I can't defend this garbage you talking about. You ain't gave that. He understood it. He ain't gave us nothing. They gonna be on my phones here tomorrow morning lighting me up. You ain't gave nothing. So now he's like, man, let me see if I can do better than you did. That's why he wants to interject. Let me see if I can do better than you did. But there's one part in what Steve Harvey said that I want to stop, because other people have been posting videos about this, but did they put this in its proper context? Because there's one part that was said in here that stuck out to me.
Stay on course, so just let me go off this paper for a minute. Before y'all start calling my radio show and DMing me, talking about why you ain't asked no hard-hitting questions, that ain't what this is. I'm throwing a lob. This is an alley-oop for a dunk, because this administration needs to get the word out of what they're actually doing and what they're actually accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people.
We need to stop all this foolishness. Steven from Django Unchained. I got mine. Y'all need to fall in line so I can stay in good with Kamama.
Accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people.
So it's foolishness. It isn't a valid thing, and you ain't got nothing to bring us, and you didn't bring us anything here on that stage, Steve. But now, black folks saying what you're doing for us is foolishness. I'm talking about straight off the plantations, people. Negroes who on the planet, y'all stop all that foolishness with Master here. He treats us goods. But for black folk, it's foolishness. Now, he don't talk this way to white folk. He doesn't talk this way to Asians. Y'all understand that Roland Martin, boule, bougie nigga thing? When they get in front of us, they talk all kinds of crazy to us now, don't they? They don't talk to these other people like that. But they talk all kinds of crazy when they talk to us. Now all of a sudden, it's foolish. Y'all need to stop that foolishness. Advocating for ourselves is foolishness. So advocating for us is foolishness. Yeah, I got mine. I'm sitting over here. Old Laurie Harvey is posting up on Instagram. The rest of y'all need to quiet down that noise. Y'all making it hard for me.
Accomplishing, so we can stop all this foolishness about what you're doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House. You got to play the game different. Y'all know what this is. So now this next question is another lob for her to dunk. Because they done a lot, man. But we see, I'm on this radio show and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show, they know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time?
Folks, do you all understand that they've been pulling this, if we don't vote this time, how we gonna demand something next time? So everybody is telling us, well, you wait this election and we'll get something for you next election. People, they've been doing this garbage since Abraham Lincoln. No, I'm serious. They do this to us every presidential election. Every election they tell us, y'all wait, hold back now. We need to take care of everybody else. We'll get to you next time. For everybody who voted for Barack Obama. Going on 20 years ago now. Remember? They said the same thing to us then. They're never gonna say it's our time. Steve Harvey and the bought and paid for coon-ass buck dancing bootlicks, they're never gonna say it's our time. They're always gonna tell us, wait, it ain't your time. Remember, Malcolm X gave a speech. He gave several speeches like that. They always tell us, wait, it's not your time. Hold off. If you just hold back, we'll get something for you next time. 60 years later, and they're still selling us the same damn lie while they flood our cities with illegal aliens for the purposes of their children being legal citizens. And then, okay, now you don't have the numbers anymore. We don't have to give you anything at all. We drowned you out. Folks, those of you who voted for Barack Obama, I was broadcasting then. Remember, they told us the same garbage then. Well, we got to get him in office in 2008. How we going to get something if we don't get him in office? You got to vote and get him in so he can do something. He got in the office and told you kiss his ass. Next up, George Zimmerman, Daniel Pantaleo, Darren Wilson, and a crime spree that he did nothing about. You have the Justice Department and did nothing with a bunch of boot-licking, ass-kissing Negroes telling you and me, okay, well, he didn't do nothing in 2008, but if we re-elect him in 2012, see, he gonna do something then, because he ain't got to worry about re-election. Just, you got to show up in 2012. You got to show up. When are y'all going to realize? The folks here, you already get it there, but for the dumb and dense, when are you going to realize that this is what they do every election cycle? Every election cycle, they tell you it's the end of the world. Every election cycle, they tell you it's the most important election of our time. And every time they say you can't ask for anything. You can't demand anything. Now, everybody else can. They never give this play the game speech to everybody else. Politics ain't no damn game. Politics ain't no damn game. With his raggedy ass pimp looking self. Politics isn't a damn game. We ain't playing no games. This is a power dynamic. We're not playing games with anybody. So, folks, this is the same damn speech they give you every time. You can't ask for nothing. You can't demand nothing. You don't expect anything. We can't do anything specifically for you, but you need to vote because, well, if you don't vote this time, how can you demand something next time? Okay, but what happened to our next time in 2000 after Bill Clinton in 1992? What happened to our next time in 1996? And when Al Gore was running, what happened to our next time in 2000? And when Barack Obama ran in 2008, what happened to our next time in 2008? And our next time in 2012? And our next time in 2016? And our next time in 2020? Folks, all they're selling us is, well, maybe next time. Well, you know what? We'll stay home and we'll not vote, and then maybe we'll vote for you next time. How about that one? The same thing you do for everybody else. See, when you got somebody sitting up here wearing your skin color and telling the rest of you, what y'all making too much noise. As I said at the beginning of the program, because I've got to repeat this here, there's always an old nigga out there who got his, paid off by these other folks, papered up by these other folks. Eager to tell you and me what we don't need. We can wait till next time. Now, Steve got his now. Steve has his today. He's got so much damn money he can reach back in the crates and come take care of some chick he was fooling with 20, 30, 40 years ago and all her kids. Steve has got his. And no wonder he can tell you and me, well, y'all wait till next time for yours. Yeah, because he ain't got to wait no more. He got his now. They only sell that garbage to the rest of us, the privileged Negroes, for whom paying the rent ain't no issue, always trying to tell the rest of us what we need to wait for. What the hell kind of political strategy is that? Give the Democrats the White House now. And notice he didn't even say, and vote for them now if you can't demand nothing in January. What the hell are you talking about? So he's not putting this on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. He's saying, well, vote for them in 2024 so that you can hopefully get somebody who'll do something for you in 2028. then why should I vote in 2024? Well, this will encourage 2028. You said that back in 2008. I don't have to be there for that. That's why Steve is sitting up here trying to sell these wolf tickets now. He's doing it now because he already knows what we're going to say. And what he just showed you is he does not have any sort of viable counter argument. He already knows what we're going to say, which is what he exposes with what he says next.
Not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man.
Now, that was the part that I heard. Now, that was the part I heard right there. Now, that was the part that got me. While he's sitting up here handing out his damn political advice. And he's sitting here showing you and admitting, but ain't gonna give y'all no damn money no how. And he realized that he messed around and stepped wrong with that one. He realized it because he tried to clean it up right after that. But by the way, he let the real thing come out. So he's on board with it. Y'all crazy niggas, they ain't gonna give y'all nothing no how. From the old nigga who got his. He's very quick to tell you what you don't need. And what you ain't supposed to get. Very quick to tell you that. Not gonna go in front of the Jews or the Asians or the illegal aliens or LGBT. They're throwing the money at everybody else and they haven't suffered anything. But here he comes in front of us and tells us vote and don't expect anything. He's literally telling us to vote and expect nothing. Now you all just heard him say it and then said, y'all talking about reparations. How you gonna get reparations if you don't vote? And then he turns around and says, man, why they gonna give you some money anyhow? Where you think they gonna give you some money for anyhow? And by the way, he's speaking on reparations, so Kamala doesn't say anything.
And you don't vote? Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I'll go down there.
That ain't funny to me. That's not funny to me. You watching two handkerchief head bull jive ass artist Negroes sitting up there on there, well, half a Negro on one side, sitting up there on that damn stage laughing. Would they be sitting in front of Jews talking about reparations and laughing? Would they be doing that at AIPAC? Would they be sitting up there at AIPAC making jokes and talking about what they're not going to get, even though they've gotten it dozens of times over? Would they be sitting in front of them and laughing? That's not funny to me, people. That's not a laugh line to me. That's not a punchline. I don't think that's funny. That's not a joke to me. I don't see any levity in that. And the vice president of the United States showed up there for the express purposes of getting him to sell this line to us, which is why I want to do this right here. When you see they first start talking, let me go ahead and back this up so y'all can see this. When they first start talking, I'm showing the video for those of you who stepped away from your computers or your cell phones. I'm going to show the video here for just a moment. So you can see, now you see they first show the both of them on the stage. They show the both of them together.
Because I got to stay.
You notice they show them both together here till he starts talking about getting the word out, and then they zoom the camera in on him. And that's for the purposes of not showing her reaction.
expect to get in the White House.
You heard that?
Accomplishing so we can stop all
You
this
can't do
foolishness
nothing for just
about
black
what you're
people.
doing for black people. Can't nobody come out with no agenda and call it this for black people and expect to get in the White House.
Okay, but they can come out and say this is just for gays and get in the White House. They can say this is just for Asians and get in the White House. They can say this is just for Jews and get in the White House. They can say this is just for non-citizens and get in the White House. Ain't that right, Steve? So they can say that for everybody except us. They can't say it's for black folk and get in the White House. Then what's the point of putting them in the damn White House then? If you're voting for a powerless bastard who can't do nothing for you. Now we know what they gonna do for Steve. They gonna do plenty for Steve. But he said, understand, people, they are responding right now directly to the new black media. They're responding directly because them he couldn't help himself psychologically. She got run from the right one this time because he got diarrhea of the mouth and he couldn't stop talking. He couldn't stop talking. He sat there and addressed all the criticisms made of Joe Biden, but specifically of Kamala Harris. So if you all thought these folk didn't hear us and it wasn't taking a toll and it wasn't having an effect, then please explain to me why Steve Harvey sitting directly in front of Kamala Harris is talking about, and you saying can't do nothing just for black folk. People, he's not improvising right now. This is not spontaneous coming off the top of the dome. You don't get to do that in front of presidents and vice presidents. If he's saying this, he's been told to say this. Let me tell y'all something maybe that you did not know. Did you know for literally like the last 4 decades that the White House, I'm talking about the president, I know at least since Reagan, but I'm pretty sure it was also is happening before Reagan. Jay Leno talked about this. He talked about how he gets paid to make, he got paid to make jokes for the White House. They pay professional comedians to make jokes for them. No, I'm serious. Johnny Carson, David Letterman. I don't know if Chris Rock got in there, but I'm pretty sure he would be. They pay them folks, all the hosts of the Tonight Show and Letterman and things, they got paid to make jokes for the White House. Jay Leno said it. But then again, it's not a secret. Bob Hope, before he died, Bob Hope, he got paid to make jokes for the White House. For those of you who did not know, in the internet age, amazing, all this information is out here and they don't talk about that anymore. But these professional comedians and these professional comedian shows, Saturday Night Live, these professional comedy writers, they get paid to make jokes for the White House, and not just for the Correspondents' Dinner, not just for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Sometimes for zingers in a debate, if there's an opening, zingers in debates, press conferences, campaign appearances. There's a whole bunch of places where you see that kind of thing occur. So the Correspondents' Dinner is just the most famous one, but no, that's not the only one. That's not the only one. So they get paid by these administrations to make jokes. What I'm saying is they got access on the inside. They got an inside line to these people. So if Steve Harvey is up here saying this right now, this came from the top, is what I'm telling you. This little supposed spontaneous, improvised ad lib that he's doing right here, I'm telling you, this isn't ad lib. He's doing this because he was told, okay, and if you can say something to help get the medicine down with them, because this is all we offering. Folks, listen to me. They're telling you they're not going to do anything for us. That's what they're saying. What they're now saying is, yeah, we're not going to do anything for you. I mean, we'll pass a few bills and maybe they'll help you on the periphery, but no, we're not going to do anything for you. Well, if you vote for us, maybe things won't get worse. Vote for us and maybe we can stem the bleeding and things won't get worse for you. But folks, what they're telling you now is, yeah, you got us. We're not going to do anything for you. The goal is to get back in office. We're going to do something for other people, but we're not going to do anything for you. You all want to destabilize the established order. You want to disrupt the status quo. And yeah, we're not doing anything for you if that's how it's going to go. So yeah, we're not doing anything for you. Nothing for you. Now they're just coming out and saying it. Well, almost coming out and saying it. But when you ask them now, yeah, we're not doing anything for you. It's like, what the hell was this you just went on this ramble about? You didn't say nothing for us. Yeah, well, that's what it is. And, you know, if you don't vote, maybe we'll do something for you next time. You mean that mystical, magical next time you've been selling us every election cycle for the last 60 years? Yeah, well, you know, like Charlie Brown kicking the football, maybe next time. And Steve Harvey is sitting up there trying to sell that. So like I said, you see, first they were showing the both of them and then they zoomed in on him because they don't want you to see her reactions while he's saying this. Because that would tell you a hell of a whole lot if you could actually see that. That would tell you a hell of a whole lot.
See, I'm on this radio show and I'm hearing all these people talking about, I'm not voting if they not doing nothing for us. Listen to me. If you do not vote, the analytics will show. They know how many women vote, they know the age you are when you vote. If we don't vote, how we gonna ask for something next time? If you ain't got no voting power, you talking about reparations. Ain't nobody finna give you no reparations and you don't vote. Oh, why you think they finna give us some money? No how, man. I hope they do. They owe us. I'll go down there.
Where is Cat Williams when you need him? Damn. Where's Cat Williams when you really need him? By the way, take a look at Cat Williams' statement on reparations and then take a look at Steve Harvey. I rest my case.
I'm sorry. Madam, I know I ain't coming back next year. I already appreciate y'all having me. Madam Vice President, this is another part of this conversation because it affects us all. It's about housing. And another thing that you've been involved in over the years has been about housing, and it remains a priority for families all across the country. So talk more about the work that's being done to address the obstacles.
Okay, let me address this housing thing right quick before they even get started here. Folks, housing is debt. I explained this to you on the previous broadcast. Housing is not wealth today. Housing is debt. It doesn't matter if home prices are going up, if everybody's home prices are going up at the same time. You can't tap the equity in your home if you don't make enough money to pay that back. And it doesn't do you any good to tap the equity in your home and try to go somewhere else because you can't afford to move because everybody else's home values have gone up with yours. Housing is not wealth. And they talking like we a bunch of upper middle class white folk. Housing is not wealth, it's debt. 3 decades of crushing debt. And now that they threw the interest rates through the damn roof, you thought you were bad in 2008. 15 years later, now they've thrown the interest rates through the damn roof. You can't even get out of the house you're in now. If you got a good interest rate, you're trapped in there. You're rate locked into it. You can't leave. Because there's nothing on the market for you to trade out to. Without paying more than you did, you might as well stay put, which you have to do. And they want to sell you a house now at the highest interest rates we've ever seen? Are you kidding me? Effectively the highest we've ever seen because your inflation is sky damn high and your dollar is worth 1/10 of what it was back in the 70s. And telling you to go buy a house. That worked for your granddaddy and your grandmama. That doesn't work for you. It can't work for you. They got you trapped today. For the average person. Let me say for the average person, we trapped out here. If you got a house before the pandemic hit, God bless you. Everybody else, you gonna pay the freight. And he's talking about housing. The only way you're going to bring housing prices down is if the American government does what it did after World War II. And she's about to reference World War II, but she is not going to speak on the part that really matters, which is that the government paid to build these places. Public housing, subdivisions, with the expansion of Section 8, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the government paid for a housing spree to be built after World War II. Industries and plants paid to build housing after World War II. You don't have that anymore. And nobody is saying that. So if the federal government doesn't step in and pay for millions of homes to be built, the private sector is not going to do it. They're going to build just enough to keep profits where they are, but they're not going to build one house over that because they want to maximize their gains. Which means right now, home prices, we want to see what the market will bear. We want to charge however much the market will bear, which means the maximum, which means most people will not be able to afford it. That's the point. We got people out here living in damn me tiny houses. They're living in damn me sheds. Talking about tiny houses. They're living in tents. They're living in octadomes. They're living in shipping containers. This is shameful. Hell, many of them living in cars. On YouTube, talking about van life. This is America today. It's a fourth world country. Do you understand that? 20 years ago, we wasn't talking about, there weren't YouTube channels with people talking about they living in their cars. Now that's a common thing, folks, living in their cars. Let me buy a camper. Let me buy an RV. Let me buy an old school bus. While they talking about housing. If they could afford the $400,000 median home, do you think they'd be living in their damn Dodge Journey?
That's being presented in front of all of us as we try to gain housing.
So you're right, Steve. I mean, back when I was Attorney General of California, I sued the 5 biggest banks of the country during the foreclosure crisis. And you'll remember that a lot of black families were targeted with those promises of these loans.
By the way, if she sued them on behalf of a lot of black families, so it wasn't for black folks, like I sued the banks and there were a lot of black folk got caught in that. Okay, and how'd that turn out? What did she do for all those people? By the way, she says she sued them. Okay, she sued them and did what? Because black folk homeless in California is sky high right now. So, by the way, I sued the banks. Okay, you sued them and did what for the people that they messed over, ma'am? How many executives went to prison? How many did you put in jail? None? Because not a one went. By the way, she's once again claiming she did something for you. And I'm like, okay, what did you... So those people, when they get their checks, when did those people that you sued for get their checks, ma'am? Or did you sue them on behalf of the state of California and put the money in your pocket?
0 payment down, and people ended up going bankrupt. A lot of black families were targeted with those promises of these loans, 0 payment down, and people ended up going bankrupt. So this is something I focused on for a long time. And here again, let's look at it through the context of obstacles and opportunities. So home ownership is probably one of the most effective and efficient and fastest ways to grow intergenerational wealth.
If you can pay off the loan within a decade, sure. And if there were cheaper housing for you to be able to transition out of to something else, yeah. Other than that, get ready for a 20, 30-year slog with a dollar that is continually, progressively being hitting inflation to hell and depreciating. So no, it doesn't work unless you can pay the home off in a relatively short amount of time. If it takes you 3 damn decades, that means your entire working life. What the hell are you going to do with it? Who's trying to sell their house after 30 years? People want to sell their houses. If they do sell it after 10 years, ain't nobody trying to hold it for 30 years. And today, if you're lucky to get one, because folks are having bidding wars, you're lucky to get one, you can't give it up. If you live in the New York City area, I mean, New York doesn't have a bunch of houses like that, but Los Angeles, Atlanta, Dallas, if you can get a house, man, you can't let it go. So they're talking like this is 1984 and not 2004, and nobody's stopping her say, by the way, you do realize that median home value right now is $400,000, right? With an average annual interest rate of 7%, right? You do know that, right, Kamala? You can't extract the wealth from it under those circumstances unless you have a high-paying job and you can pay off the house relatively quickly. Then maybe you can pay it out quickly enough that you can draw out some equity before it gets stripped away by inflation and the cost of living wherever you are. And don't expect to go to another home after that, by the way. We ain't going to talk about property taxes. We ain't going to get into that. We're just going to stick on the home values. I'm not even going to hit you with property taxes, insurance. Down there in Florida, y'all getting whammied. But Florida's not the only one. Florida, California, hell, and coming to a state near you, by the way, for those of you who think you're safe from insurance rates, Florida and California are the worst case scenario right now, but you're seeing it move up in every other state too. Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia, Minnesota, Washington, bunch of places you thought otherwise would be safe. Arizona, they getting the work too. You getting the work too.
Just think about it in this context. You own a home, and then your child says, you know, Daddy, I want to go to Howard University. Yes.
Don't you all consider that to be funny? Ski-wee? Ski-wee?
Yes. And you can say to your child, honey, you don't have to take out some loans to do that. I'll take some equity out of the house. Or let's say your daughter says, I want to start a small business. And you can say to your child, honey, you don't have to take out a loan. I will take some equity out of the house to give you some startup capital. Intergenerational wealth. Okay, but that's a...
Folks, how much does it cost to pay for college tuition? $40,000, $50,000? $40,000, $50,000? To start a business? What's the number one cause of businesses going undercapitalized, which means if it's going to be viable, you're going to have to give them much more than it costs to start up. How much does it cost to get a business started? Yeah, by the way, what happened about the SBA loans? So she's telling you, here, go tap in your house because we got out of that. If you can buy a house, what you need an SBA loan for? So much for the SBA. Here, go tap it for your damn self. These other folks get given capital and they tell black folk, here, get your ass over there and work for it. They're not telling the rest of these people to work for it. They're handing them contracts, handing them marijuana contracts in California and California and Colorado and Washington, handing them money and then telling you and me, by the way, here, see if you can work your way up. Here, go take out a mortgage and maybe in 15 years, you'll be able to go ahead and have some money to withdraw from equity.
Fact. Now let's talk about other facts. Let's talk about, we don't even need to go as far back as 40 acres and a mule never happened. Let's go to the
What will be the point? Steve Harvey says we're not owed anything. Why sit up here and reference 40 acres and a mule? Steve just sat there reading your talking points about we ain't owed nothing. Then again, Kamala, considering the fact that on both sides of her family, she's not from the lineage of a descendants of the slaves, she wouldn't be doing anything anyway. So no wonder all of this is really just irrelevant to her. She's not doing anything. And she doesn't have anywhere in her family that she looks back on slavery. So she sees it as our issue and our grievance, not hers. No wonder she's so detached from it and can be so apathetic about it. She's like, well, that's y'all niggas' upbringing. That's your history. It's not mine. So yeah, sorry for what happened to y'all. Me and Doug gonna kick it over here together. I'm gonna kick it over here with Doug. Y'all figure out how to get some therapy and get over that slavery thing. But by the way, why even mention it? Since you're not actually gonna do nothing, since Steve just said, by the way, you ain't gonna get nothing no way, so why even bring it up? So she's trying to tug on some heartstrings and to hit some of these talking points that she knows we're interested in. He just sat there and told you ain't gonna get nothing. Now here she comes back. Well, let's talk about the slavery days. What the hell for? You just said you're not gonna do anything. At this point, you're just wasting our time.
Let's talk about, we don't even need to go as far back as 48 because the mule never happened. Let's go to the GI Bill. You know, we just celebrated D-Day. So remember, we call them the greatest generation, those mostly men who went to war and put America on the map as a leader around global peace and security. So the United States government, in essence, said, the people said, you are the greatest generation. You sacrificed so much. We owe you, and we believe in you. And there were policies then to boost their standing through loans, specific grants given to them to buy homes. So here was this incredible boost. Here's the reality. Black servicemen, because of what we know to be racial bias and racism in the system, did not receive those loans at the same rate. So where you saw public policy that was about a boost, right? We had disparities before that happened. And then you see the disparities grow even more.
So this is the same game they always play, folks. This is what I was telling you about before. This isn't about getting politicians on stage and being able to pin them down and get them to admit that racism exists and admit what they've done to us. She's about to talk about the freeways and highways, by the way. You thought that was just confined to me and Dr. Claude Anderson. No, she's about to talk about the freeways and highways here in just a moment and how those decimated black communities. So this isn't about getting them to acknowledge their historical racist acts against us and how they've used eminent domain and the economies and housing and banking and everything else to declare economic warfare on us. This isn't about it getting them to admit what they've done. They will happily sit on a stage and pick up a microphone and come to an HBCU and come to the Democratic National Convention and admit what they've done. The problem comes when you say, okay, you specifically targeted us. What are you going to do to specifically repair this with us? Steve Harvey, when you talking about just doing something for black folks, we ain't going to do that there. But by the way, folks, once again, it's not a problem getting them to admit what they've done and admit what's wrong and confess and concede to their racist history. That ain't the issue. They say that and then say, okay, we talked about that. Let's move right along.
Take into account segregation, redlining, urban renewal, where in so many black cities in particular, they would build freeways straight through the neighborhood.
As I just said, she about to get to the freeways here in a moment. Something you never heard from Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden. Folks, yeah, they're tapping into our talking points. This appearance is specifically to address us. That anybody who listens to us, they're hoping that you're slow bus enough that you hear her saying those words and then you're assuming, well, she's addressing it. No, she's not. She's repeating what she said. She's repeating the problem, but she's not saying what they're gonna do. This isn't a change. All she's doing is repeating the problem. Okay, we got that. And what is she specifically going to do for us about the problem that was specifically targeting us? That's the point. We don't need a trip down memory lane. We don't need to hear some nigga nostalgia. What are you going to do about that? Well, we're going to give some white folks some money at the community banks and give some white folks some money for federal contracts and get some white folks some money for infrastructure, and maybe they'll hire you for a job. That's what we're going to do about it.
Grow even more. Take into account segregation, redlining, urban renewal, where in so many black cities in particular, they would build freeways straight through the neighborhood, which would cut the business community, commerce off from the neighborhoods. Over and over again, we have seen these inflection points in the history of our country that have set folks back around home ownership. So one thing that we have to do is speak truth about that. And the second piece of it then is, what are we going to do?
No, we don't. First thing we need to do is speak truth about that. No, we don't. We already know the truth about it. We've been talking and talking. You've been speaking about it. We don't need you to do any more damn talk. We got it. We're the ones who told you while you were denying it was even there. So we don't need to be told a damn thing. Everybody got the memo. What they're waiting on is the second memo that says, and now here's what we're going to do about it. No, we don't need to talk about it anymore. Jewish people don't want to take another tour of Dachau. They want to know what you're going to do. And I'm right there on that wave right there. I don't want to hear no more talk. We don't need to confess nothing. You done did enough confessing. Every time you show up, all you do is confess. You haven't said what you're going to do. No, so we haven't pinned anything down yet.
To accommodate. Over again, we have seen these inflection points in the history of our country that have set folks back around home ownership. So one thing that we have to do is speak truth about that. And the second piece of it then is, what are we going to do to accommodate the fact that we have far too many folks who, for example, in black families, there's no history in their immediate family of home ownership. What are we doing to give them a boost? So we are proposing a policy, which we are on track to getting done, so that if you are the first generation in your family to go for home ownership, you'll get $25,000 credit for down payment.
Now, did you all hear that? So if you, not black people, if you are the first person in your family to purchase a home, you'll get a $25,000 tax credit. Don't you know that that's for the illegal aliens? Don't you know that's for her people? She just sat there and said that in front of your face. Notice they omitted black again. People, I'm telling you what she just said right there. That's for the illegal aliens. That's for them. She sat there talking like that's for you. That's for them. Or for the immigrants, legal or otherwise. No, that's for them. That's not for us. That's for them. The first one in your family. But she just talked about how they bulldoze our communities here already. So we need another house to replace the last one you took. Oh, well, you're not the first one in your family. What? Do y'all see the trick bag that just got played right there? The first one in your family. Wait a minute. Does that include those of us who got our houses bulldozed by those freeways you just mentioned? And Bruce's Beach? Does that include us? Oh, no. Well, all the newcomers, well, they'll get $25,000. Are you kidding me? No, they're not joking. No, they're not joking. So you're hearing this with your own ears now. She's letting you know what we're going to do here. And if you sit there listening to Steve Harvey, who's told you can't ask for nothing, you're like, well, let's see what else they're offering. And you're assuming that she's talking to you when she says this. Just like when she said community banks. She hope you heard community and stop thinking, yeah, this is for you.
$25,000 credit for down payment. And if you are first in your family generationally, first-time home ownership, qualify for $400 a month in credits to go toward paying your mortgage. So these are some of the issues that we are seeking to address.
Okay, first of all, folks, that's not a law. That's not a law. So what they're saying is, oh, this is something we would like to see Congress pass. This is not a law, So what she's offering you right now is speculation, and oh, this would be a nice thing to do, but it's not the law. It's not I don't even think it's a bill. So just understand what she's talking about right now is not something that they've done. And even if they did, she's going to make sure it's for illegal aliens. They want to make sure it's for illegals. This is for them. This is to actually remove black people from the neighborhood, not to build black neighborhoods, but to remove us from them. So here in the new black media, we have a sophisticated audience who heard her. You heard her when she said minorities before, and then when you heard her say first one in the family, a few of y'all caught that. Oh, that's for illegals. The first one in the family. Yeah, because remember, what's his name? Elijah Cummings. And them. We breaking up families at the border. They're breaking their damn selves up. They threw the baby over the damn fence. So they'll be back telling you illegal alien families. Then they'll be telling you about all the money they got and what they can spend, and there's no upper limit on what they can spend. When you show up all of a sudden, we got to pinch these pennies now. Got to pinch these pennies.
There's another issue. Home appraisals. Again, it's about speaking truth, right? So, and I have to give great credit to the former Secretary of HUD, Marcia Fudge, who we worked on this for a while, and so this is where it is. Home appraisals. How many people here have heard the story about a black family wants to sell their home or take out a second mortgage, needs to get the home appraised for its value? And they call in the appraiser. The appraiser comes in and appraises it for a certain number. The family knows that's too low. So then they get in touch with some friends of the family who are white and say, why don't y'all come over with your family pictures? We'll take ours down. You invite an appraiser over. The house appraises for higher. Racial bias in home appraisals is a real issue.
Then why don't we have a black hate crime bill? If you know that this is an economic crime, why is this not treated like a crime? Why do we not have a black hate crime bill? Y'all want to know what a hate crime bill can really target here? Yeah, there's police and other things. But by the way, for stuff like this right here, why isn't this covered as a hate crime? Why is this not covered by the federal government as a hate crime? Now that would go right there. We ain't got to talk about no damn getting more money and lending and no garbage like that. Okay, if that happens to you, hate crime. Now that would stop that mess from happening. Now if that occurred, that would stop that garbage from happening. Gertrude show up at the damn house and whatnot and try to lowball you on that and things, and then you make a complaint on that, and next thing you know, they bringing her old ass up here and say, okay, get your ass in the back of the paddy wagon. Well, that would do it.
Again, contributing to what we would see then in terms of disparities around the ability to accumulate and grow wealth. So what we have done is we are now requiring that home appraisers receive racial bias training to address, again, what are these seemingly small issues, but are very big issues when you talk about the overall ability.
They receive racial bias training. Now, Shirley Sherrod did not get racial bias training. She got pulled over on the side of the road by Barack Obama and told she needed to hand in her resignation right then. Racial bias training, the same garbage we always hear. Now, you heard me give you a real solution. Hate crime. Bet you they'll stop it then. Well, we just give them racial bias training as if that's going to do anything, which she knows it won't. Which she knows is not going to do anything. They say ridiculous things. Ridiculous things.
Of folks to catch up and to build the kind of wealth that we know is an entitlement, is a right of every hardworking person. So that's part of what we're doing on home ownership.
Good.
In other words, not a damn thing. In other words, not a damn thing. I'm only going to play a little bit more here. Just a little bit more, and then I want to show you something else.
I think another important thing to point out from this administration is what's being done about debt. Because debt, look, I got 7 kids, and all of them went to college. Yeah. And they were fortunate enough where they didn't have to deal with that, right? But the average person is smothered with this debt.
That's right.
They struggling out here with this debt, these medical bills and all like this. Talk to us about what you all's plan has been, what the administration has done and wants to do pertaining to debt.
So I'll start with student loan debt. We have now, and anybody who has received student loan debt forgiveness, please testify. Everywhere.
Did you hear that? All 3 of them up in there. Anybody who's released student loan debt relief, please testify. You heard through about 3 people.
We have now, and anybody who has received student loan debt forgiveness, please testify. Everywhere. Everywhere. We have forgiven over 100.
Oh, that was weak, y'all. That was cringe. That was weak. Please testify. All 3 of y'all. Yes, ma'am. You ain't got a leg to stand on, baby. You ain't got a leg to stand on.
Loan debt forgiveness, please testify. Everywhere. Everywhere. We have forgiven over $160 billion of student loan debt for over 5 million Americans.
Do y'all see that? You got more people clapping because she did it for all Americans than can actually tell you they got any benefit from it. Do you see the problem? Yeah, student loan debt forgiveness has helped us so much you can't find nobody it's helped. And the problem isn't student loan debt. The problem is, okay, the student loan's been paid off. Can you pay the rent this month? Student loan debt wasn't holding anybody back. There's a whole bunch of y'all in here got student loan debt. It hasn't stopped you from doing anything. Your lack of income and assets and upward mobility has. Not student loan debt or home ownership. She's sitting up here acting like everybody who owns a home is scot-free. So they living a good life. Are you kidding me? There's a whole bunch of y'all own houses. It's like, okay, that didn't do nothing for me.
And I have to emphasize, that was not without a whole lot of people that did not want that to happen. We had to fight to push it through. The courts ruled against us on a part of it, and so we found another way of doing it.
Isn't that amazing? So the courts went against us, and we found another way of doing it. They don't ever say that for black folk. Every time, remember that, every time they tell you that they can't do anything for black people, you can't do anything specifically for us. Well, that's very Oh, Ed Blum showed up at the Supreme Court. Well, that's interesting because you all got beat at the Supreme Court for student loans and illegal aliens. Now, they're not supposed to be doing what they're doing at the border with the illegal aliens. Yeah, damn the Supreme Court. We freestyling. So they never tell you that the Supreme Court is the end all and be all for every other group, but when we show up, oh well, hey, they start talking like DJ Vlad. Hey there, I mean, is that the Supreme Court? Just do the best we can right there, but they kind of just shut us down. So we're gonna see if we can try to get another one up through there. We can get Congress to go along with it there, but between Congress and Supreme Court, oh yeah, you niggas gonna be sitting out there for a while, man. Yeah, it becomes that. So all of a sudden, the Supreme Court is an insurmountable obstacle. I told y'all before, these folks do what they want to do. They do what they want to do. If they wanted to do this, they would do it. They don't want to do it. It's all about having an excuse to come bring to you. Oh, well, Ed Blum showed up at the Supreme Court, man. And by the way, the Justice Department isn't fighting Ed Blum. Why isn't the Justice Department fighting these lawsuits against Ed Blum? Why aren't they doing it? Where are the damn big legal guns out there to come riding to the rescue, or they talking about how much they love black women and letting Ed Blum run roughshod over them. By the way, where the hell are they? Talking about student loan debts, and Ed Blum is getting together with the model minorities against us. Now, you don't have a single court case anywhere in this nation where black folk are showing up at the Supreme Court trying to take something away from Asians. You don't have any place in the world where black folk are showing up at a courthouse to try to take something from Asians. And yet, there's Ed Blum. Well, you found your minority coalition. It just wasn't the one you thought it was going to be. And Kamala Harris, oh well, Supreme Court, dead end, niggas vote. We'll show up in November to vote anyway. Well, you just avoided this. You just did an end run around the Supreme Court. Yeah, too many brain cells involved to do it for you, though. Okay.
But here's the thing about student loan debt, especially what we know for our community. You look at, for example, HBCUs, the vast majority of HBCU students are Pell Grant recipients. Folks have to take out these student loans. And what we have found, especially when I meet, many places, many times, people who are public servants, our teachers, our nurses, firefighters, God knows we don't pay them enough as it is. And so what we are doing...
Teachers, nurses, firefighters, people, how much student loan debt do you have to go into to become a firefighter? How much student loan debt do you have to go into to become a firefighter? As far as being a nurse is concerned, how much student loan debt do you have to go into to become a nurse? By the way, the teacher thing, okay, I'll give you that one. By the way, for nurses and firefighters, how much student loan debt is actually required for that? But particularly, if she didn't mean firefighters, okay, how much student loan debt is required for that again?
Is we are forgiving student loan debt, and for our public servants, doubling the amount of student loan debt that we are forgiving.
Okay, so if you're a firefighter whose MBA didn't work out for you, your MBA didn't work out, here you go. We'll pay off your student loan debt. Because, by the way, if it was doing you any good, you wouldn't be in debt to begin with, right?
Here's what I want to ask the leaders in the room in terms of helping get the word out. Please help people know this. You can qualify for student loan debt even if you did not graduate. Help get the word out. And again, it's about the logic, but it's about the logic behind it. It's just about the logic behind it. Here's the thing. So most people, many people leave college, drop out because they can't afford it. But the loan is still due. So we are forgiving student loan debt, including for people who did not graduate, because we understand the nature of the problem and we're trying to fix it.
No, you're trying to camouflage it.
Medical debt. Medical debt, for the most part, comes about because of a medical emergency. It is something folks don't plan for. It's certainly not something people want. And what ends up happening is people then accumulate all these medical bills. And it sets them back. As it is, think about the nature of the person we're talking about. They're going through health issues. It probably means they're losing time from work. It probably means they're struggling in many ways because of their health issue. And this medical debt currently gets counted, has been forever, counted against their credit score. We have made it so that now medical debt cannot be counted in your credit score.
Okay, well, you know what? I will hand them that one. But that's still not a black agenda. That's something you're supposed to already do. But that's for everybody. You know, it'd be real nice if we could deal with some of the issues that cause the health ailments in the first damn place. No, we got to go drop bombs in Ukraine and Afghanistan. But by the way, even for that, for credit scores, okay, that's nice and everything. I'll give you that one, but it's still not a black agenda. That's not a black agenda. That's a everybody agenda. Well, black folk get sick too, don't they? So this is what everybody's trying to sell us now. Don't black folks get sick? Don't black folks go to college? Don't black folks drive down the street? Well, we paying for new streets, and don't that help you? Now, for everybody else, they get something that helps them that we don't get access to. We don't get no access to that. But for us, well, what we doing for everybody else? Can't you tag along? Don't that help you too? There's where the damn trick bag comes in. So even when she does name one good idea in there, here's the other thing. Folks, for those of you who know how credit works, medical debt is the weakest of all debts that you can have on your credit report, for those of you who did not know. Medical debt is actually the weakest of all of them. It's the one that it hurts your credit score at the beginning, sure. But after a year, that one is the one that loses its efficacy most. The reason for this is because Equifax and TransUnion and Experian, they actually have a special rating. They have a special consideration where medical debt is concerned, because as far as the credit reporting agencies are concerned, medical debt is considered to be a one-time event. That's why they give a different consideration for how medical debt affects a credit score, because medical debt isn't considered consumer debt. It's not considered something that you plan to have happen. It's not a result of a bad purchase decision, and it's not a result of you didn't want to pay it. So the credit reporting agencies actually consider medical debt in a different way than from, you say you got a car, you missed a payment on a car or a credit card or had a repossession. Medical debt doesn't go down like that. So yeah, at the beginning, your score takes a hit. After a year, you're pretty much going to mostly recover, because and by the way, student loan debt has always been considered the same way too. For those of you who didn't know, student loan debt has been considered a one-time event. Yeah, there's a lot of y'all didn't know that. You had something happen and then you just gave up on your credit. But by the way, that's not the way it works for medical debt, and truthfully not the way it works for student loan debt. Yes, you get a hit at the beginning, but assuming that you still keep working with your credit and you don't just abandon credit, which is what a lot of people do. But if you don't do that, then your credit score for the most part is going to recover over the course of the next 12 to 24 months. Now, it'll be 7 years before it falls off your credit report altogether. Yes. But as far as the big hit you're going to take and the big depreciation hit you're going to take, you're going to absorb all of that within the first year. And then after that is mostly going to recover, assuming you're doing everything else with your credit you're supposed to do. If you just sit back and the biggest thing on your credit is your student loan debt, or the biggest thing on your credit is a medical debt, well, yeah, your score is going to stay low, because that's all you've done. But if you keep working with your credit, get your credit cards, pay them off, and you keep doing that, that's going to balance it out, because you're giving positive data to counter the negative data. And for the most part, student loan debts and medical debts, those are the two in particular, they're considered to be one-time events by the credit rating agencies. They consider those to be one-time incidents. One time.
That's a big issue. Because, folks know, your credit score like you know your weight. You know that number. People can, I'm sure if you say, neighbor, what's your credit score? They probably know, right? And so what we are doing is again, addressing the realities of what holds people back and weighs them down, right? When we talk about the need for people to have access to economic opportunity, we have to take into account what holds people back.
What good is having great credit if you got to go down to the racist ass community bank that is giving all the best favorable terms to the white folk and the Asians and the illegal aliens, and black folks show up and they say, oh, there's money for everybody. We got a loan for everybody except you. What good is it? What good is excellent credit when that's the headwind you're running into? And I am not saying that they are insurmountable. What I'm saying is that this is not a change, ma'am. This is more of the damn same. She's putting window dressing on our situation, but ain't said nothing about what she's going to do to address it, because they're not going to. This is just about having a powwow session to say, hey, we came to see you niggas, and then tell you we ain't going to do nothing.
Because we don't lack for hard work, work ethic, good ideas, ambition, aspiration. But there are obstacles built into the system that have to be addressed to give people the opportunity. And it's not about a handout. It's about saying, give people the opportunity to compete. Give hardworking people the opportunity to get ahead and not just get by. That's what this is about.
Okay, but it's not about hardworking people because white folk have an economic base that they can call upon. That's why they're not going under the way black folk do. They've already got that. So if you sit up here and help everybody, what you're doing is also helping the dominant society to stay ahead of us. They already got 10 times the damn wealth. Helping them just helps them to stay ahead of us. They're not staying up and competing. You're helping them to stay ahead of us. All the effort and all the benefits and all the resources need to come over here to us who've been completely deprived of it so that when we catch up, you can go ahead and turn the damn spigot off. We got it from here. Then you can turn the spigot off because we got it from here. Thought I'd take an opportunity, though. I want to go to one more thing here because Kamala Harris did have something to say. I wanted to go into this video because there's another version of the video that's out there. And I think it has a little bit more. Than what this other one had. Found that to be very interesting, by the way. Okay, I got my timestamps for that. I think that timestamp is wrong, though. It's going to be closer to 20. I want to say around the 26-minute mark. Want to hear what Steve Harvey's got to say here, and I'm going to put the video on the screen for you all. I'm going to put the video on the screen for you here for a moment, so you can go ahead and check that out. Fair use again here, by the way, YouTube.
I got look, I can only be me. I apologize. I'm going to give myself a round of applause because I've never sat on the stage this long with a microphone and done this little bit of talking right here. But
You've already said too damn much.
It's actually been informative to me. I got to tell you, but normally I would have interrupted you by now because I would have been bored out of my mind.
I'm very impressed with your
You like this?
I'm very
I look like Gayle King, don't I? All I got to do is say something controversial, and I'm Gayle King. Listen, I'm glad you asked me to do this, because we've talked.
You say, no, I look like Gayle King. No, nigga, you look like Don King.
Listen, I'm glad you asked me to do this, because we've talked many times.
And I'm so glad you made the time to do it, Steve. Thank you.
I was telling the audience I came from my ranch, and you're very aware of this, and you're going to help me now because you introduced me to one of your key people back there. Yeah. I'm in the life-saving business. I'm 40 miles.
You hear that? Did you all hear that? By the way, we're 40 miles from my ranch. That's not funny to me. Let me tell y'all something. I've spent the better part of the last 20 years now. I don't sit up here and do a bunch of flossing about me and what I got. I'm sitting up here trying to help other people. We got credit card workshops, truck driving workshops, skilled trade workshops, IT workshops, one-on-one. I've helped literally hundreds of people get their credit straightened out with real world stuff, not some pie in the sky fantasy things you saw on the internet somewhere, getting their finances straightened out. I ain't sitting up here talking about what I got. Y'all don't give a damn what I got. Just like, hey, nigga, what am I going to get? I don't want to hear about Steve Harvey's ranch. Can you get one? Steve Harvey's ranch does what for you? Well, how does that help us? How does Steve Harvey's ranch help any of us? Just like Oprah Winfrey. Now, I bet the weather was fine at my ranch. These niggas are so damn out of touch they don't even hear themselves. They see another bougie ass nigga sitting up here living in a gated exclusive community and they forget exactly where the hell they are. This is what I'm talking about. They're completely distanced from us. Hell, they're not distant, they're divorced from us. They don't even hear themselves. Sitting right there in front of you talking about they damn ranch. You trying to make ends meet and worried about the first of the month. And he talking about 40 miles from his ranch. and you trying to figure out how to pay for your studio apartment. Completely damn out of touch with us in reality. But you heard him say, she gonna help him out. I know that was a cringeworthy moment for her. Ooh, nigga, you saying too much. Because Steve Harvey thinks that if he sits up here and talks about what she doing for him, well, hey, she doing something for black folk, is she? She doing something for me. See, she doing something for black folk? No, she's not. She's doing something for you. She's doing something for you. She isn't doing anything for us. That's the problem there, y'all. Y'all need to know that's the problem. She doing something for black folk. We gonna meet back up at the ranch here. She hooked me up with some folk gonna help me out. So I wanted you all to hear that and see that by the way, you want to know where Steve is coming down on this ad? Yeah, that's where that comes from. That's where that comes from. Now, what I've played for you all so far is egregious enough. However, were you aware that Kamala Harris has recently given another speech? Well, look at this. The Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. Why, she just talked to them a couple of weeks ago. My, like Johnny Gill. Well, I wonder how that conversation went. I wonder what she talked to them about. Well, she talked to them before she talked to us. Now, I just wonder what the conversation entailed.
I presented for the United States on COP28, the Global Climate Conference.
All right, she's talking about global climate change and all that good stuff there. That's wonderful. Let me go ahead and back up to the young man here who was hosting it. I want to go over some of the things that he said. Mr. Jimmy Yang, he's an actor and a comedian. Has anybody heard of Mr. Jimmy Yang? If you have, he was hosting it.
Wonderful. Okay, hi, Jimmy.
Hello, how are you? Good seeing you. I have no idea.
Folks, do you see a pattern forming? So, when she spoke to the Asians, she speaks to actor, comedian, and when she came and spoke to us, why, they got another comedian. Don't be surprised if Asian folks see that she's a Trojan horse for them like she has been for us. She gets them to drop their guard and it's like, oh, here comes the trick bag for you too. Oh, we got a trick bag for y'all too coming. By the way, don't worry, they got a trick bag for you coming at the last minute. Let me go ahead and pull this rug out from up under your ass.
Why you guys call me to do this? Lisa Ling must have been not available. Went down the list. Connie Chung not available. Now here I am. But it's an absolute honor to be here with you. And all these amazing leaders. I've been listening to a lot of talks, First Mayor of Cincinnati and like everyone. It's a lot of firsts, a lot of groundbreaking trailblazers of our community. And of course, you are the first AANHPI Vice President of the United States. Yeah. So I want to ask you, what does it mean to you to be the first? And how has your heritage, informed your views and your roles as a leader?
So, as Alicia said, my mother gave my sister and me a lot of advice, and one of the things that she said to me that has had a lasting impact is she said, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, make sure you're not the last. My mother was 19 years old when she arrived in the United States by herself. She was the eldest of my grandparents' 4 kids. And she said, and she was part of one of the first waves of Indians to come in relative modern history to the United States in the 50s, right? So anybody of South Asian background, you'll know that this was early. There were not many Indian Americans or Indians who had come in at that point.
So you see what she's doing here? Now she's giving you the Asian backstory. Oh, let me tell you about Asian history. Do you see where this is going? By the way, fair use, APACs, whoever they are, fair use to y'all too, by the way. But oh yeah, you know that she's giving you that history lesson here. Only from the real side of the family that she actually identifies with. So yeah, I found that to be interesting as well there. Really, really did. So she was talking to him and he comes out with some more questions here.
Won't. And then you need to kick that fucking door down.
A far cry from the type of salty language that they use with us too, by the way. By the way, how ladylike. Very ladylike.
This is part of what's involved, is that we have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that fucking door down. Excuse my language.
There's no excusing you. No. There is no excusing you. By the way, though, I will say one thing. I wonder how happy and pleased Asians are to have her representing them that way. Bet you they wishing for some distance now. Watch, they all gonna say that's the nigga in her. By the way. But yeah, how ladylike. How ladylike. Oh yeah, by the way, when was the last time she told us that, by the way? Oh, that would be too revolutionary and too radical if she said that to us. So she wouldn't be in a room with us talking like that because she know we about that life and we about that business. So she goes somewhere else where it's really it ain't even really necessary. Tell me the doors that are locked for Asians. Somebody show me the doors that have been locked to Asians. We've had the doors open for Asians since the end of World War II. Hell, since Captain Perry and the Black Ships, for those of you who know your Japanese history. We've had the doors open for Asians. Tell me what door has been closed to Asians? What's the door that's closed to Asians? The door that's closed to Arabs? The door that's closed to Latinos? The door that's closed to Jews? The doors that's closed to gay? Which door exactly is it that's closed to them that they need to kick in? They're so prosperous, they're standing in front of doors blocking us.
We're gonna make t-shirts with that saying, kick the fucking door down.
Look at them feet, fella. You could probably do it.
I mean, I literally just got emotional listening to that. Like, I think all of us in this room have that experience. You know, like me as an actor, you know, whether you're in political office or any job you walk into, oftentimes we are the only Asian person there.
But it's not held against you. That's the difference. You've got your honorary whiteness. So what you're saying right now is irrelevant. I'm the only Asian in the room. Yeah, but ain't nobody holding it against you. There is no legacy of slavery. You are not the metric by which white society determines whether or not it's prosperous or not. Ain't nobody holding you back. Nobody's saying when the Asian fella shows up, whatever he wants, the answer is no. That's the difference. You can be the only Asian person. Ain't nobody got the knives out for you. That's why you can have Chinatowns and Koreatowns. Ain't nobody trying to gentrify you. No one's targeted you. No one redlined you. They give you refugee status. They've given you protection. They've given you help. Nobody is targeting you. So trying to sit up here and claim some fictitious oppressed status ain't gonna work for you, Jack. Jimmy, it ain't gonna work for you. You make believing. You're talking about our experience. Kamala up there talking to y'all like you suffered our experience or that you're going through ours now. No, you're not. That's our experience you're referring to there, Jimmy, not yours. You just want greater benefits and greater privileges, but you ain't suffering any liabilities, though. That's our experience you talking about right now, bro.
Door down. I literally just got emotional listening to that. Like, I think all of us in this room have that experience, you know, like me as an actor, you know, whether you're in political office or any job you walk into, oftentimes we are the only Asian person there, and how to navigate that. And for me, it's always, hey, I understand, you know, I'm fortunate to be here. Thank you for opening the door. But it's never like I try to not blame it or anything. Like if I miss an audition or whatever, I just gotta be a better actor. Forget about Asian, not Asian. I just gotta be better than everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's why ain't nobody sweating you, Jimmy. He just sat up there and tried to talk as if being Asian was some sort of liability, and then turns right around and says, well, you know, it doesn't matter whether I'm Asian or not. And this is why ain't nobody worried about y'all. That right there. I wanted to let you all see. She's sitting right there. This is what they really want. See, this is the part that we ain't gonna do. That's why they're trying to flood the zone with as many of them as they can. We ain't gonna do this part right here. The descendants of the slaves are not gonna do this part. The part that it don't matter if you're black, Steve Harvey will try for a few minutes, but the masses don't have that luxury. So you see him, he says there's some kind of issue, and then he keeps talking, well, you know what I mean, you just got to keep powering through it. In other words, he accepts the status quo. No matter what happens, oh, well, it all comes down on me. That's not the way racism works. You can't say it all comes down on me, and then I tell you, by the way, there's some white supremacists over there who've engineered the system. You can't say that. That's a contradiction. Either there's a white supremacist system or there isn't. Either it has power or it doesn't. If there's a white supremacist system and it does have power, then everything is not on you. Yes, you should do everything that you can, but it's a fallacy to say that everything's on you and then turn around, well, if I was Asian or not Asian, if I was black or not black, if it's being held against you, then obviously it matters. That's the reason they ain't sweating you, Jimmy. As I just said, they ain't sweating you. Because they know that's the response they're gonna get. You trying to assimilate and we trying to elevate. That's the difference.
But it's never like I try to not blame it or anything. Like if I miss an audition or whatever, I just gotta be a better actor. Forget about Asian, not Asian. I just gotta be better than everyone else. Yeah. Like you said, so I won't be the last.
That's right.
You know?
And it is. You know, I think it is very much part of Asian culture. I think many.
I just got to be better than everybody else. But Jimmy, why? Why do you have to try harder than everybody else, Jimmy? And who the hell is everybody else? And furthermore, if y'all are buying degrees and whatnot, you got to try harder than everybody else to buy your degree? Is that where black folk are going wrong? We need to go ahead and pay somebody some bribes for the degree first. And then, is that what we're doing wrong?
It won't be the last.
That's right.
You know?
And it is, you know, I think it is very much part of Asian culture. I think many cultures, but that we are taught duty.
Yes.
And
Did you hear that? See, this is the real Kamala Harris. This is the real one now. Yeah, y'all heard that This is the real one. Not that fake, phony, high yellow mixed chick routine that she plays with the dumb nigresses at the HBCUs and the sororities. No, this is the real one now. She's sitting amongst the people that she wants to be identified with. So she doesn't talk about y'all anymore. Now it's we. When she's among black folk, it's y'all. When she's among her people, it's we. And look what she says, we. About duty. And here's the crazy thing about it. Heifer, you from India. You can't identify with folks from the Orient. Yes, I said the Orient. But you can't identify with them. Y'all trying to lump together, please tell me the camaraderie between India and China. They're literally killing each other over there at the border. We covered this before. We're talking about BRICS. The Chinese and the Indians literally killing each other over there at that damn border. Their soldiers are really literally killing each other over there at that border. While they sitting up here talking like this up here. Tell me where the historical connection is between India and China, India and Asia, India and Japan, hell, India and Pakistan. Show me where the historical connection is between these places. Show me their historical linking up and camaraderie. Where the hell is that at? Hinduism and Taoism and Buddhism? Where? Show me all the Chinese Indian families you found. What the hell are they talking about here? What kind of Twilight Zone garbage is this? Talking about we. Which we? What part of his Chinese or whatever heritage he got are you referring to, man? Well, Asia. Does that include Russia? For those of you who forgot, by the way, if we're talking about the continent of Asia, are we also including the Russians? I think you left somebody out up there. You want to know who takes up the most real estate on the continent of Asia, by the way? So we're just going to leave the Russians out? Okay. Yeah, y'all need to go ahead and take a look at your geography. So we just cutting Russians out the equation altogether, right? And now she's going to try to connect herself to the Orient. And he's sitting up here going along with it. Some folks get put in the trick bag. Other people sit up here and jump in that damn thing.
Be a better actor. Forget about Asian, not Asian. I just got
Duty. Something, it's not about whether you have the luxury or the will. It's your responsibility. It's your duty. And you don't question it. It just is. Mm-hmm. And part of that is the duty that we feel when we are the first in particular, to understand what that means to people who are not us, meaning everyone else. You know, we learn a lot culturally about the fact that it's not about us. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you something with this damn lie right there. It's not about us. When was the last time you saw Asians stick up for anybody but themselves? They literally have words for it. Gaijin in Japan, which literally means outsider. In China, they got a word for it. Korea, they got a word for it. India, they have a word for it. They have several different words for it in India. Kafir, Barakaman, we can go down the list. But in India, they got several different words for you ain't like us. The door is closed. We taking care of us. Now she's sitting up here trying to fabricate some inclusion. What the hell is who the hell is she talking about? Folk not like us, because it's damn sure not black people, so who is she talking about? My folks who live in New York, LA, DC, Seattle. Apparently, according to Kamala Harris, they looking out for everybody else. Now, I know black folk do that. Our neighborhoods and too damn much is open to everybody else. Show me when these other people don't open the door for you. Because according to her, they do.
better than everyone else.
Yeah.
It won't be the last.
That's right.
You know?
And it is, I think it is very much part of Asian culture. I think many cultures, but that we are taught duty.
Yes.
And duty is something, it's not about whether you have the luxury or the will. It's your responsibility, it's your duty. And you don't question it, it just is. Mm-hmm. And part of that is the duty that we feel when we are the first in particular, to understand what that means to people who are not us, meaning everyone else. We learn a lot culturally about the fact that it's not about us. Right?
Yeah.
It's about family, it's about community, it's about country, it's about values.
It's not about us. It's about family, but that's us. That's you. It's about community. Excuse me, that's you. It's about nation. I don't think they interpret it that way either. But you see what you name: family and community. Wait a minute, but that's you. See, when they talk to us, they talk about how we rebuilt America and changed America and transformed America. These other folks here, by the way, that's them.
You know, someone once described it to me as if you think of it, the culture, and I'm oversimplifying, obviously, but as an onion.
No, you're not oversimplifying. You're fabricating.
The individual is at the core of the onion, and then there is the family, and there is the community, and there is, and all of those things are bigger.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to separate those two, Kamala Harris and an onion. Ma'am, you could have chose a different one than that right there. Now when I see her, I'm going to think about the smell of an onion. This one, okay, baby, you could have found a better one than that one.
And that's part of how we are conditioned to think in many ways, which sometimes leads to probably a willingness to minimize the importance of the individual, and we have to be careful about that. But duty is an important part of it, to your point.
Yeah, and I think what you said earlier, just being raised by immigrants, I think gives us that perspective and the gratefulness to be here in a great democracy, because that can't be taken for granted, especially in a lot of other places in the world.
There it is. There it is. You want to know why it is we ain't got camaraderie and we can't make no inroads and whatnot? And they think that Kamala thinks there's less daylight between her and him than there is between her and Steve. Because, I'm kind of black, but you just black. Me and him, we're not just Asian, we're immigrants. So you see, we have a commonality that we ain't got with you Negroes. Yeah, you're the foundation, but we're the newcomers, so you see, we have that in common. And that's the issue that we have, is there's a whole bunch of folks who value being immigrants over anything else. And yet telling you and me what we're not supposed to claim.
The importance of the individual, and we have to be careful about that. But duty is an important part of it, to your point.
Yeah, and I think what you said earlier, just being raised by immigrants, I think gives us that perspective and the gratefulness to be here in a great democracy, because that can't be taken for granted, especially in a lot of other places in the world.
That's right.
And which leads me to my second question. I actually prepped a cards.
But here's the thing I want to add while you're pulling out whatever's coming out of your pocket.
Okay, I don't know. She almost caught herself right there while you pulling it out. But in any case, there, I just wanted to show you all that, by the way, yeah, there he goes. We're immigrants. We're immigrants. You know, being raised by immigrants. These people know what they say to each other when we're not around. They know what matters, and they know what their points of connection and commonality are when we're not around. And this is the conversation that takes place with Kamala Harris and the community that she really bonds with. Remember, she was raised by her mom, not her dad. This is the community that she bonds with, even if she ain't Chinese, by the way. She's nowhere from the Orient, but she's trying hard as she can to work that Asian thing. Now, could you imagine us as black people in America trying to go somewhere and talk about North American Alliance and talking to Canadians and Mexicans and talking about, well, you know, for those of us from North America, y'all don't have the same language, the same religion, the same background, the same values. You're trying to fabricate something. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? So I just want to take a moment here for you all and to show you that, by the way, that's what happened. Now, I will say one thing. Here that Kamala, they don't really ask any economic questions here. And I found it a little bit strange at first. At first, I found it a little bit odd that she goes in front of this Asian group right here and they're talking about things, but they're not talking about economics. And then it hit me. The same thing that he said there before about when he goes in the place and whatnot, and I'm the only Asian there. It doesn't mean the same thing for him that it means for us. They don't have to talk about economics anymore. Damn it, they good. They all right. They straight. They ain't got an economic issue. We trying to get there. But they don't even have to talk to these presidential candidates about economics anymore. They're not struggling. So they've reached a point where it's just like talking to AIPAC. AIPAC is not there really to talk about economic issues. They're talking about political issues and geographic and to make sure the Jews gonna hold on what they got. But this fella here, he knows Kamala ain't doing nothing to undermine them. They're already good. Hell, they're so good they don't even have anything to ask for. Just can you bring more immigrants over? But they're not trying to get anything. He didn't talk about anything that's being denied him. So that was when I was like, okay, I'm waiting for him to get to the economics, and he never said anything. And then I was like, you don't have to. No wonder. You all aren't asking about anything anymore. You don't have to. Yeah, white folk done made sure you made it over so that you're their buffer class in between us and them. And they make sure that you're properly funded and held up and everything else. Just so long as you putting up the stiff arm on us. And as far as you're concerned, everything's all right. You're not here to make any trouble. He didn't say one word. They got no issues about trouble, no issues about revolution, no issues about overturning the status quo. We all the way all right. So he's like, yeah, he can just ask a bunch of general slice of life questions and sit there and talk about, hey, we all Asian together. Yeah, y'all ain't losing nothing. Y'all ain't losing nothing. So yeah, the conversation over there with them folks is radically different than the one you have to have with us. And still not addressing it. Still not addressing what you're supposed to be talking about with us. Still not doing it. That's how seriously they take holding us back in this regard here. They're all on code. And then they sit up here and bring in the comedians to tell us everything is all right. Or in Steve Harvey's case, don't be asking for nothing there. You don't need nothing. Yeah, we need to make sure Steve is taken care of. Yeah, because Steve has done a great job of taking care of the rest of us now, hasn't he? Yeah, taking care of Steve Harvey and some of the privileged Negroes, that's gone great for the rest of us, hasn't it? And literally got Cat Williams and other people sitting up here telling you, by the way, Steve was helping Steve don't do nothing for us. It takes opportunities away from the rest of us. That's what Steve did for us. That's what Steve did for us. Understand how these folks see things now. Understand how they see that. I want you all to hear this tonight so you can hear it directly from these people. And they finally, at the last minute here, and I said this 4 years ago. Folks asked me, Jason, how is this going to shake down? How is this going to come out? Folks, I've been telling you for 4 years. They're going to tell us that student loans, they're going to tell us that what they did for black people is student loans. Did I not tell you that? Have I not been beating that drum for years now? I told y'all then, mark my words, when we go into the election, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to tell you that what they did specifically for black people is student loans. That's what they're going to tell you. And they've been beating that drum ever since oh, hey, niggas, we got student loans. We move heaven and earth for student loans. And what they really want to see is how dumb and shallow people are. And Steve Harvey, knowing that they're not offering us anything, finally had to jump up and just say, hey, y'all need to quit asking for anything. Now, the real question becomes whether or not we let the bought and paid for niggas sit up here and do the damn talking for us. That's the question we got to ask. Whether or not we gonna let the porch niggas and the house niggas sit up here and speak for us. But what you don't have to wonder anymore is whether or not Kamala Harris and the rest of them folk up there in Washington heard us. They've heard us. They got the message loud and clear. You heard Steve Harvey running interference. She felt that when we said you haven't done anything specifically for us. They felt it when we said reparations. They've heard everything. And they also heard us say we gonna stay home. They heard that too. Now I want to tell you something here, and I might get into this next time, but there's a reason why I'm not going into Roland Martin. There's a reason why I'm not going into that. You all need to understand that Roland Martin actually thinks that we are useful. What? I want y'all to understand that. Roland Martin actually believes that we, here in the new black media, he believes that we are useful. Well, Jason, what do you mean by that? If Joe Biden and Kamala Harris lose, Roland Martin is going to be on their phones the very next day telling them, no, now, if you had gave me money, I could have stopped them over there in the new black media. Understand that. If they lose, Roland Martin is going to be the first one on the phone. He's going to be the first one calling them up. I tried to tell y'all, dumb asses. I told y'all while y'all was sitting up here not answering the phone for me. While y'all was ignoring my phone calls, I could have been doing something about them. Y'all need to give me more money. See, that's why you lost the election. You need to give me money. If y'all would have spent some more of that money over here with me, I could have done something here. I'm just telling you all right now, that's what he's going to say. If they lose, he's going to be on TV the very next day telling them that the problem is that they didn't spend enough money with him and that they grossly underestimated how strong the influence of the new black media is. That's what he's going to tell them. Mark my words, people. I know the playbook. I know the psychology. I know the flunkies. I know the plan. He's going to tell them, if you had given me more money and I could have had more influence and we could have done something about these new black media people, y'all didn't spend enough with me. So now if you need to spend more and you need to do it early. That's what he's going to say. He's going to say that. So I want you all to understand, I didn't really get in the role in the night because putting in this proper context here, that's what he's going to say. He's going to say that. Now, the next question comes, what do we say? I want to take this moment to have a reminder for you all right now. What you are seeing tonight and what you have heard tonight, I cannot understate this. I can't overstate it. This is the result and the culmination of going on 2 decades of consistency. We have been consistently beating this drum now going on 2 decades. We've had a lot of folk who were with us and they've fallen off, and we had a lot more folk join us because we have been consistent and relentless and uncompromising. And we have been saying it now going on decades that the issue is economics. We don't want to hear about integration. We don't want to hear about education. We don't want to hear about reformation. We want to hear about economics. That's it. That is the only agenda we want to address. And I'm just letting you all know now, this is the result of what we've done. But we can't stop here. You see how effective we've been. We're in the middle of an election year. We got a ways to go. And if Couch 24 wins the election, I'm telling you all right now, it is going to be a tsunami the very next day. Every single political broadcaster, political commentator everywhere is going to be looking at the black vote. They've already gone over the numbers. They're already setting up the argument already. They are all going to be looking at the black vote. They're all going to be discussing the black vote. They're going to be taking a look at Pennsylvania, Michigan, Florida, all the places where Joe Biden is prone to lose, and they're going to be looking at that black vote, and they're going to be asking, why? Joy Big Mouth Reed is going to be sitting up there with a new shade of blonde hair, talking about you dumb niggas. Roland Martin, you dumbasses. Hell, they might bring Tiffany Cross back, who knows? But mark my words, that's what they'll be talking about, and we will say to them, we told you the issue was economics and doing something specifically tangible for us. Because that is the black agenda now, economics, dollars. That is the black agenda. To anyone asking and anyone who wants to know, this is the agenda now. We ain't hearing nothing else. Black economics, a hate crime bill, that's all we really talking about. Concrete tangibles, specifically for us. Nothing else is being discussed. We don't want to have the good time, feel good hour. Don't bother bringing us the entertainers. Let me tell y'all something else right now. I want to say this very, very clearly. There's an issue with entertainers, and as you all know, I know quite a few of them. Let me tell y'all something. They are the most unreliable people in the room. The simple fact of the matter is that most of these entertainers out here really don't have as much money as you all might think they do. But to the extent that they do, all they trying to do is get their next gig. I need you all to feel this very, very much. These are gig employees. They don't work from one year to another year. They work from day to day. Steve Harvey can be hosting the Family Feud today, and they can have somebody else hosting it tomorrow. There's a never-ending line of individuals they could get. They could replace him tomorrow. His contract could be canceled tomorrow. Hell, it could be canceled tonight. Take a look at Marvel movies, Marvel Studios. I mean, everybody there's a damn contract employee. You hear 1 minute, gone the next. They'll recast in a minute. We ain't trying to hear nothing. So I want you to understand these comedians and celebrities and entertainers, these are gig employees, man. These are contract employees, and their number one duty in this world is trying to secure the next gig. That's what they're focused on, is getting their next gig. So showing up in one of these places here and showing up with Kamala Harris, that's resume enhancement for them. They hope they'll be able to talk about that on the next radio show or something, but that's all it is. So I want you all to understand that's why we cannot rely on them or look to them for nothing. I'm just glad that Steve got up there and let the real thing out for just a few moments, that they are in full panic mode. I'm glad that they told him to address that however you need to, and he said what he thought was appropriate, and all he did was make the matters worse. She sat up there vomiting all over herself, and he made matters worse. But he said the only thing he could say, hey, she up here messing up, but hey, y'all niggas need to show up and vote anyway, because you ain't gonna get nothing. They ain't gonna give y'all no money no way, so then there's no reason to vote, fool. Then there's no damn reason to vote. What the hell I need to show up for to get nothing? I can stay at home and get nothing. Why would I give you benefits and then I get nothing? I thought voting was supposed to be get benefits for me. I show up and get benefits for you and I get to go home with an empty paper bag? This nigga's not even a good comedian anymore. So the issue is economics, but I don't want you to ever forget why it is that the issue is economics. I don't want you to forget why it is that that's what we're discussing. That's what we're fixated on. That's what the agenda is. This wasn't a conversation. Those of you who go back with me to the Barack Obama days, this was not a conversation that was happening then. This conversation was not happening when Obama was in office. We weren't talking like this back then. And now you're seeing it reverberating at the highest levels. And I want to give you all a reminder about how we got here and that we have been effective. People, if you've doubted whether or not tuning into us has worked, if you've doubted whether or not your support over the last decade and a half, if you questioned whether or not it's meant anything, listen to Steve Harvey there talking to Kamala Harris. He's saying our words. The message is getting through. People have rattled the cages. He is admitting that he's getting the work and he's feeling the heat, and that people are saying what we're saying, and that he's so worried about it that he feels the need to address it in front of her. That's letting you know it's real. We are having an effect. And in that vein, I would like to remind you of how we got here. This year, right now, as I speak, we are doing our crowdfunding for 8 a.m. It started with 7 a.m., but it moves on with 8 a.m. And for all of you who've been a part of what we've done here before, I present to you our results on your screen. You've been listening to it now for the last 2.5 hours. Those are our results. The message has gotten through. The establishment is worried. People are nervous. They think they're gonna lose this election and that it's the black vote they're gonna lose it with over this economics issue. And now they're kicking it into overdrive to convince us you don't need no economic support. We forgave some student loans. Ain't that economical enough? So, folks, it's not time to get tired now. We're going into the weekend here. I'm going to remind you all, it's up to you and me. Let me say this again. It's up to you and me, because take a look on your screen. This right here, this ain't no damn joke. She with her people. She's holding it down for them. Economically, she is 10 toes down with them. That's what we're up against on your screen, right there. They good. She's saying he's the Asian man, I'm the Asian woman, and damn you niggas. Who's speaking up for us? Steve Harvey has a national platform, and he just told you he's here to speak against us. Who's speaking up for us? Who's speaking up for you right now? Roland Martin? Is Roland Martin your voice? Is Roland Martin the one who got the message through? The only thing Steve Harvey didn't say was cut the check. Did Roland Martin get the message through? Is Steve Harvey going to be our mouthpiece? He just sat there and tell you, ain't going to get nothing no way. Just take whatever the hell they slop off at you. I'm going to my ranch. I want us to take a look at our numbers here, y'all. We should be at $200,000 by now. I'm not sitting up here talking about what I'm doing, this, that, and the other. I'm saying this is the work of the people. We have over 5,000 people in here right now. If everyone in here just put in $50, you're going into the weekend, you just came off a holiday. Folks, they out there raising money to keep you where you at and to make sure your children suffer even more. I don't know how else to tell it to you, man. We should have blown the doors and the roof off of everything else by now. These other people ain't playing no games. I'm showing you, people, I can't make it any more clear to you. They own code over here. They're on code. The Asian Trojan horse vice president and the bougie privileged niggas, they're on code, man. I can't say that enough to you. They're on code against us and making no bones about it. They saying it straight up. Hey, y'all don't expect nothing. Be glad we letting you stay in the country. Don't expect nothing, and you better vote. That's their message to us. Now I'd like for all of you to send a message to them. And let them know it's going to be a brand new day. As a matter of fact, the brand new day is already here.
We've grown up in a sea of white supremacy. I think that what slavery did for us is it created this sense that the white man's ice is colder and that we want to have a seat at that table and not a seat at our own table.
At LSU, we never had a conversation about the business of sports, about the money that's made. They don't want to have that conversation because you have that conversation, that's what creates movements.
Most people are miserable. They're depressed. They hate their life. Why do people hate their life? Because they're doing things they hate. Because they feel like they're scared they can't pay a bill.
George Soros probably said it the best, and he said that when he was broke, nobody listened to him, but when he broke the banks over in Europe, he was able to start talking to the heads of state.
Are you listening? Is this thing on?
Let me tell you about the record industry. You walk into a major company, they got some of the prettiest women. You want some Perrier, you want some water. What do you need? Once they got you, it was just like that. What have you done for me lately?
A lot of those athletes in college, 99% of them will not make it to that high level NBA, WNBA, NFL.
If an artist is not a puppet, he's not going to be pulled to the top. It's the bottom line.
Friends is friends and business is business. Never intertwining.
It's a brand new day. It's a brand new day, even if some folks weren't aware of it. It's a brand new day, but only if we send them a message. So to everyone within the sound of my voice here, I know you're in the summertime, but let me tell you, white supremacy ain't taking no holidays. Everybody out there right now, during this broadcast, I have received 2 emails from Joe Biden for fundraising. I get 2 or 3 emails from them every single day. Don't ask me how they got my email. Although that's a stupid question. Department of Homeland Security, of course they have my email. They got my email, my phone number. Hell, they're probably sitting in there listening to my OnStar. But, folks, they're serious about this. I can't overstate this. This is how seriously they take it. How seriously do we take it? And I know we might not have the same thing that everybody else does, but that's what we got. That's what we got. In any case, I feel like it's incumbent on me to at least have a little bit in there. Feel like it's incumbent on me to at least have a little bit in there. So what I want to do is I want to open up the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence. The megaphone of the new black media. And if you were ever questioning whether or not the message got through, if you were ever questioning whether or not them body blows in 2020 when Kamala Harris was running for president herself, if you ever questioned whether or not when we lit it up from this microphone right here and said, you think I'm going to do something just for black people? No! No! 4 years later, Steve Harvey is articulating that they are every bit as terrified about that today as they were back then times 10. That tells you that their focus polling, their focus group data, their internal polling, that's telling you, their focus groups are telling them, yeah, you ain't why is the black vote so shaky? Because you haven't done anything specifically for us. The old bait and switch isn't gonna work this time the way it did before. You're not able to just say, well, go and talk to them, but don't make any specific promises. It's crumbling, people. It's crumbling, it's falling apart. And when Steve Harvey tried to sell it, you heard that muted response he got. Folks ain't sitting up here listening to you tell us don't expect nothing but show up and vote anyway. And people are still going to hoop and holler and dance like they used to. Even with the audience that they filtered up in there, they couldn't get the support from them like they needed to. I'm telling you, don't they know they in trouble? And this has been a result of every commercial, every ad, every billboard, every broadcast, every public appearance, every phone call, everything that we've done. And now they're telling you, yeah, we heard you, but we're going to see if, now they're just going to try to take us head on. Now they're saying we're just going to take you head on. We can't ignore you anymore. These people, why don't you just say Jason Black, Steve? Roland Martin eventually got around to it, didn't he? Why don't you just say Jason Black and get it over with? Kamala already knows who I am, damn it. That's why she was messing with my passport for all them damn months. She already knows who it is. But folks, they're now saying we cannot ignore what you all of you, because it ain't just me. They're saying we cannot ignore you anymore. Now we're going to take you head on. But as usual, as we've taught you, they have an incompetent operative class. People, Steve Harvey is your spokesperson against Jason Black. Talk about the definition of he's your operative. Talk about an incompetent operative. This was the best you could do. And the short answer is yes. This is the best they could do. If you wondered if we're having an effect, if you wondered if we're actually breaking it down, if you wondered if these people if they're worried, if you're wondering whether or not the message got through, you heard Steve Harvey repeating us today, word for word, line for line. If you agree with everything that we've done, then hit the link in the description of the video, or my mods will go ahead and post the link to our crowdfunding. If you believe in everything that we've done, then help us to continue doing exactly this, because we're making progress. Don't believe me. Believe Steve Harvey talking about people are calling into my show and they telling me about you ain't giving us nothing for reparations. You need to do something specifically for black people. Folks, Steve Harvey is sitting right there in front of Kamala Harris with them saying, yeah, this is the issue. How do we deal with it? See if you can shame them niggas. Tell them they don't need them. I told you all, if you are waiting for MSNBC or CNN to tell you all that we are winning, you gonna wait till hell freezes over and thaws out. I told you that I would let you know when we're winning because we get the inside analysis. We're the think tank that gives you the accurate analysis of it. Folks, we're winning. Don't look for that headline from CNN. Just look for them to be worried. Folks, we're winning. We're winning, but we haven't won. We're making progress, but we ain't doing no victory laps because we haven't won anything. We haven't won anything. Let's keep pushing. We got a ways to go, people. Like I say, we should have $1 million, but all I'm saying right now is we should be able to outdo anything we've previously done. What's the reason we can't? Because these other folks, they taking their millions. I mean, Steve Harvey makes more than we raise here, think about that being weaponized against us. And it is now. They're getting together with a bunch of aspiring bougie niggas at the hotel and literally talking about what we don't need to do. Think about that for a few moments. 100 black men got this thing together to talk about what we're not going to do for black folk. What we're not going to do for the descendants. What we don't need to do for the foundation. That's what they're convening black folk. This was to get black folk together to, quote, get our heads right. And tell us, well, you need to vote. You haven't gotten anything, but vote because you might get something next time. And we're saying, you know what? Let this son of a gun burn down. If we cannot all be equally comfortable, damn it, we all gonna be equally uncomfortable. We're gonna go ahead and go over here to the telephone lines. Let me get caller from area code 323. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, good evening, Big Brother Jason. This is Brother Elijah calling out of Brooklyn, New York.
All right, Brother Elijah, out of Brooklyn, what's on your mind?
Hey, brother. Before I got two questions. I got a question for tonight, and I got a follow-up question. But before I say that, look, man, look, Big Brother, you've been saving the people's lives, our sanity. You've been doing a broadcast every night. You know, all I can, many Muslims say, Allah Akbar, Allah is the greatest. I say on the B1 side, Jason is the greatest, brother. I have to say that, man. All right? Thank you so much for every night. I'm not going to keep you long, Big Brother, but I got a question. I listened to Professor Black Truth, and then when I compare to your broadcast tonight, I have many thoughts in my mind, but it's summed up to one question. Do you see this, after looking at these two interviews with Miss Harris, and then what Professor Black Truth said, the cowardice of black people, which got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected in 2020, do you officially see this as the beginning of the end of the Democratic Party? What I mean by that is in context, not the end of the party, but as far as them relying on a black vote.
No, because the demographics are not there yet. They're trying to do it. They're trying to put it in place. They're trying to install it. But the demographics are not there yet, which is why they're desperately trying to flood the zone with as many as they can. But at right now, they can't really do what they want to do and really work it the way they want to work it. So, no, not yet. But they're on their way.
Yes, sir. All right, Big Brother, thank you so much for that. Just a follow-up question. You did a fiery broadcast last night. I'm not asking you this about the Celtics, but you was talking about white supremacy, and we was talking about the state of Massachusetts. I just got a crazy question following to last night's broadcast.
You said I did a fiery broadcast last night.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, nigga, if you don't replace that smoke detector battery, I hope it's not a fiery thing in Brooklyn, but go ahead, Elijah.
I gotta wait. It's not me, brother, Big Brother. I'm staying with my grandmother, all right? Yes, I said it.
That's all, nigga. That's all the more damn reason. So you letting grandma's smoke detector go off like that? But he took that old niggas thing to heart. He's like, hey, Jason, it ain't me. It's just grandmama. I stay at the house most of the time. Okay, well, what did he say? She on her own. He said if she can't climb this ladder by herself, she's on her own. All right.
I'm gonna check that, Big Brother, tomorrow. I'm sorry. But,
she just walking around the house looking up at the smoke detector, just hoping Jesus changes it or something, because Elijah sure ain't gonna do it.
Hey, I told her, look, I keep getting clowned over this.
Oh, you as bad as Kamala Harris. But I told her, literally, you can stand up on a chair and fix this. He's like, I passed by it too, Jason, but I told her, nigga, you told her what? What exactly did you tell her? It's going to fix itself?
Exactly. No, I gotta step up. No, we gonna get some batteries. This is bad. And the red light is flashing on it too.
Y'all gonna keep going till the light goes out altogether, as far as I can tell. But go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When you was talking about people in Boston, I'm not talking about the Celtics team, but I'm talking about particularly like the state of Massachusetts and everything like that. How is it that they couldn't stomach the idea of having a black mayor, but they allowed a FBA governor for 8 years, Patrick Duval, to run the whole state?
Because Patrick was the right kind. Remember, it's different from a state than the city because you can get together the rural areas and things like that. So where Democrats usually do better in urban areas, but the rural areas, if you can get enough of that together, and if the other candidate is not very appealing. But the other thing was Deval Patrick was a non-threatening Negro. He was known in Massachusetts, but the bottom line is he was like Barack Obama, one of these effete, non-threatening Negroes. And they love a non-threatening, ass-kissing, suck-up Negro. They love it. They can sniff if you are a threat from 3 miles away. Duvall was not a threat whatsoever. He just wanted to get into office. He was not going to change the status quo, and all of them knew it. So, in other words, there was no reason not to vote for him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, brother, that's a perfect answer. All right. Hey, but I'm going to leave the line open. Be one to you and the family. Thank you so much for tonight's broadcast, big brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. I'm about to give up on Elijah here in a minute. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo here. Thank you very much to Pamela Greer. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Also to Yalea. Thank you much as well. We got new members with My Name is Courtney, Corey, and everybody else who signed up to be a member here tonight, WT and everybody else. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate that. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, JB, this is Bill calling out of Chicago.
All right, Bill out of Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, JB, I just got to, listening to you, I got to thinking about why these white supremacists and these peddlers call us lazy. America, in all of its glory that we have built, right? Those people got to be saying to themselves in awe, like, how did we do it? Because they couldn't do it, right? So since they couldn't do it and we did it, we made America glory so great that we should have built two America. This is what they are saying to themselves. So they can have more shit to take from us. So since we didn't build two Americas, you niggas are lazy. See, that's what it is. They got so fat and so greedy that they wanted more. We did it so, all our sweat and blood and tears that they so greedy. We should have built two of them. So since we didn't, you niggas are lazy. At this point, JB, brother, you can have my reparations. I want something else. I want my 10 pounds of flesh. That's what I want. And that's all I got for you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And certainly, the whole thing is about getting you to go ahead and do this and whatnot, and then coming in and stealing whatever you get from it. That's the whole point. That's always been the point. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Onan from Queens. What's up, Jason?
All right, Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
So, as the American professor Noam Chomsky has said, the greatest form of propaganda is when something poses as opposition when it's actually support. And that is what the Democratic Party is. All right. It's just controlled opposition in order to get black people to think that we have a friend in the Democratic Party when we absolutely do not. All right. Kamala Harris is a Brahmin Indian. Okay. She is not black. She has these ostensible ties to the black community, like being an AKA and going to Howard University, but she's not a black woman. All right. And everybody likes to assume that since she has these ties to the black community, that she understands what she goes through, that she understands what we go through when she doesn't. All right. And I think that needs to be pointed out. And I'm glad that you're doing this broadcast and also reading down what Coon behind Steve Harvey has to say, talking about we're not going to get reparations. And he let that slip because you saw that he backtracked that very quickly. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest, man. I don't want to take up too much of your time, my brother.
Well, look, I mean, when desperate times call for desperate measures, and here's the issue. The issue is they need the black vote, but they hate black people. So they don't want to talk to us as if they're actually respecting us. So everything is going to be come from a standpoint of ordering us around and barking at us, because in their minds, they can't afford to sound like they're respecting us. So everything's going to be packaged in disrespect and talking to us all kinds of crazy. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 617. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Shell from Boston.
All right, Shell from Boston. What's on your mind?
I think people are really already seeing, the Democrats and Harris be very transparent. They're very honest and upfront now about what their beliefs are. And just she switches so easily in her conversation from we to you to, everybody to. She never really hits a target that people really ask her to. She's very divisive. She thinks she's she thinks her position is safe, but they don't want her in there either. So
she didn't say anything new. Here was the real issue. The real issue is they listened to they listened to Roland Martin is what happened. They listened to Roland Martin and Al Sharpton, two people who don't know. They're out of touch with everything. And those are the people that they're taking their political advice from. And what they have all been telling them is the problem is you're not trumpeting your accomplishments loud enough. They're not telling them you don't have any accomplishments to run on. They're telling them what you need to do. I don't know why y'all aren't promoting your accomplishments more. That's why she went out here and made an ass of herself, and Steve Harvey tried to come in with the save and made it look even worse. That's literally what they're being told. They're literally, I played this for you all before, that Roland Martin said that, Al Sharpton said, the Democrats need to promote what they're doing more, as if they got a winning track record or something. That's what their confidants are telling them. So if you want to know why she's up there doing that, her political advisors, they're telling them you're hitting out the park. You're just not doing a good enough job of highlighting your accomplishments.
Yeah, but it's really sad that the media is they all seem to be in collusion with all this. They're just they're worse than, the other people. It's like, God, I mean, if you can turn your back on your own, it just shows how, weak you are. It's like, they've seen plenty of examples where they're irreplaceable. They can get snatched in a minute. If you can take $1 billion away from Kanye in less than a couple of hours, they can bring you down quicker than you blink an eye.
That's the whole game, though. The whole game is to try to run as far as you can, to be in such a pivotal position that it's too much trouble or too difficult to remove you. That's what happened to Obama. So the real thing is they take one Negro. Well, slow down. They take one Negro, put them in the position, and then, even though it's only symbolic, they tell them, see, if you play the game right, you could make it like Obama did. So they're never going to have to actually give anything to any of these other would-be sellouts ever again. They're all going to be chasing the Barack Obama carrot for the rest of their days, because in their minds, well, he was able to, quote, make it. And if I play it right, I'll be able to make it too. And even if they want to take me down, they won't be able to. That's what they're all believing now.
Yeah, but the fallacy is that they take them down in 2 minutes. They disclose all kind of stuff on them that they don't do to other politicians. They think they get too big for their britches and they ain't going to be able to be taken down. But I think they're stepping on some boundaries, but they're not representative of, the culture and the movement. And they use these Tiffany Haddishes and all these ghetto people to act like, they represent us, and they don't. It's like,
well, I mean, Kamala
more than
Harris.
Roland Martin does.
Kamala Harris does not think she represents us. She never has.
Kamala Harris. She says it outright, though.
Well, I mean, but Kamala
She's
Harris
truthful.
has always
She, you know.
thought that Kamala Harris has always known that she was a double agent.
Yeah.
She's always known that she was an imposter, but because unfortunately in our group, you had a lot of folks, especially in the female contingent, and I got to say it, who have signed up for that colorist thing, and the lightest thing in the room is what they all rally around. So it was communicated to her very. It's not a think. It's not a think. Kamala Harris, among black men, the light skinned dudes kind of get clowned. But among black women, the light-skinned chick gets deified. I've shown you all a bunch of pictures of her, and I can show you any sorority. Find the lightest-skinned chick, and she's the one in the middle.
I wasn't on.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here. You find the lightest-skinned chick, she's the one in the middle. I've shown y'all that before. That's something that sisters got to get over. The light-skinned chick, this thing right here, and I know, and we've had a history. Understand something now. As a people, we have had a history, of certain females and whatnot. And, we've known you have that in the family, you have that in the community. We've understood that. But we also have got to come to grips with the fact that leaves you vulnerable because in this effort to be, quote, inclusive, these folks don't see themselves the way you do in many cases. Kamala Harris, now you have a Kamala Harris who has no connection to us whatsoever. It's one thing to have a Halle Berry. It's another thing to have a Kamala Harris who has no connection to us whatsoever. None. So she smuggled her way in as an imposter and a Manchurian candidate, and she's been standing beside true black women when she doesn't even come from any part of our lineage at all. None. But she's standing in the middle of them, and then they make her the honorary queen. And what I'm saying is she's like, that's it, I got over on them. You'll never be able to convince her again that she's not queen of the Negroes. And it's not just Kamala. Remember, I already did this program. Y'all can go through Google Images. Anytime you pull up a sorority, when they're standing up there in their lines, who they gonna have in the middle? If you got 12 of them posing for a group picture, who's gonna be in the middle? The light-skinned one. Who gonna be at the edges? The dark-skinned ones. And Kamala has grown up in that. That's why she keeps invoking the sorority, because she knows that's where she's the queen of and that they're going to bow to her no matter what. What she's scared of is coming out here in the regular world because we ain't seeing no queen right there. We're not acknowledging that. So that's why she keeps trying to get them to help bolster her. Remember, they said that in 2020, that the sororities would be her secret weapon. Well, how'd that work out? So, yeah, they're back doing that again. Or at least she's trying to rely on it, but she's never seen herself as one of us. And that's why, here's the thing right here, y'all. We know how we are as a culture. And as a culture, we know we ready for the paperwork check. I have some differences with DL Hughley. He's cool. We cool and everything. I got some issues with DL, but DL is ready for a paperwork check. Cat Williams is ready for a paperwork check. Bernie Mac was ready for a paperwork check. The real niggas is ready for a paperwork check. So we're not ever scared of somebody challenging our credentials and whatnot, because we know you got to keep your documents on you, keep your resume on you, keep your rep on you, keep your support on you. We all know somebody going to try to challenge it at some point, and you got to be ready. So all of us, including all of you listening to me right now, every single one of you, you supposed to be ready. But we understand this. If somebody wants to try something, first thing they're going to try to do is challenge your credentials. And you're supposed to be ready for the paperwork check. If Kamala Harris was really one of us, then she wouldn't be running from the paperwork check. Hell, she'd be calling me up to defend those credentials. If she was about that life, if she got that support, if she's got those credentials, if she got the track record, she would be putting it up front and center and saying paperwork. Here's my paperwork. You can see without the work I put in, and the paperwork would hold up. Problem is, we did see the paperwork. I'll be damned. Prosecutor? Attorney General? Oh! Doug? Oh, paperwork is every type of dirty there is. That's the whole point right there, folks. You can't say that what I'm saying is unfair, because if the paperwork was, if you challenge somebody's paperwork, they supposed to be ready to present and defend that. That goes for all of us. We didn't do the paperwork check on Obama, and you saw how that went. Everybody from here on in, paperwork check, paperwork. When you hit the yard, paperwork. Well, let's see the documentation. And if the documents come back dirty, we're running you up off the yard. And Steve Harvey playing Black Santa Claus ain't gonna help you. So if Kamala wanted to help herself, she'd be presenting her paperwork. But she tried to fake it, and all she did was make up stories about Tupac. And she can't sit up here and bandy the black men she slept with, because we're like, hey, all them niggas is puppets and stooges. That don't help. If she had real black credentials to stand on, she'd be doing it. Michelle Obama had real black credentials to stand on, even though she's a collaborator with the white supremacists. Kamala Harris ain't even got that. So no, people, if she really wanted to help herself, she would present the paperwork. She would present her paperwork. She'd be ready if we challenge them credentials. She'd be ready to stand 10 toes down and show and prove herself in front of the people. She'd be ready for that. Every black female in here listening to me right now, you ready for it if somebody tries to challenge your credentials? Kira, I ain't so sure about you. But for everybody else, you ready in case somebody tries to challenge your credentials? They want to call you a sellout. They want to call you an Uncle Tom. You ready if they challenge yours? Why the hell isn't she vice president and ain't ready to defend hers? She's been to black churches, remember in St. Louis. She's been all over the damn place and talking about black folk like we're a foreign entity, because we are. Because she knows, damn, you can't really address them unless you got credentials. And everybody's saying, where's the credentials? She failed the paperwork check. And she knows she doesn't even have the ability to present or fight it. Caller America code 412, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Robert. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'd just like to put a call to the audience as well. Like I've called 3 people and told them about the donation, and their marching orders was each one of those 3 people was supposed to call 3 people and keep it on going down. That's a telephone tree that I'm trying to implement so that we can get the money that we need. But that's it. What I want to talk about today, it's obvious how Steve Harvey sold his soul. He is a backstabbing, treasonous, vicious piece of flesh. Kamala Harris is a vain-necked, cackling hyena who is taking advantage of the hate against foundational black Americans by championing the cause of benign neglect. It is very sad how the Jedi mind trick is getting through the filters of a lot of Negroes. They seem to be from Egypt to now. Negroes are caught in permanent adolescence. Look how Steve Harvey and Kamala Harris are crossing their legs to hide the bottom stench of their treasonous behavior. And if you look at the word democratic, from democratic comes democracy. And you look at democracy, it's what they're really saying. If you reverse it, is crazy demons. So I just want brothers and sisters to be aware of what we're dealing with right now. And I don't even know whether, I'm sure that these wings on the same bird of oppression is not really in our best interest. So I'm voting for tangibles. If we don't have no tangibles, I'm staying home.
Well said.
And
thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. By the way, Robert is right there. I want to thank everyone who has contributed here tonight, though. Y'all are real about it. You're all the way about that life. I'd love for us to have over 2,000 people. I don't think we've ever had that for a crowdfunding. I would love to have 2,000 backers and send folks a message, because, folks, it's getting through. This is about who's going to last out. This is an endurance test right now. So, yeah, follow his example here. But more importantly here, you be on deck. This idea that somebody else is going to take care of it, just remember, I want y'all to keep one thing in mind. Steve Harvey is talking to the old niggas. Steve Harvey is talking to the old niggas. And what he's counting on is what Roland Martin said. I told y'all that in 2020. Roland Martin was like, remember, we don't need y'all young folk. Biden gonna get the old folk. We don't need y'all. I was warning you all about that then. What they're saying here is that we'll see if we can get enough old folk to come to the polls at the last minute to cancel out that young vote. So if we don't pitch in here and speak up for ourselves, man, look here, they're ready to swamp us. And then you go, think about the insult that is to tell us, you ain't gonna get no reparations no way, and you just need to vote, so maybe you'll get something next time. Think about what a damn insult that is. Call America 210. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Jermaine, calling from San Antonio, originally from Dallas, Texas.
All right, Jermaine from San Antonio. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. This is my first time calling, but the reason I want to, I guess bring my opinion up and statement up is with Steve Harvey is that I don't understand why someone would even listen to someone like Steve Harvey, because anybody that's giving him the money, he don't care who it is. He could stab his own people in the back, and he would still go that route. And to give you a prime example of that is that, and I never forget this, Mr. Black, is that when Donald Trump had won the presidency, and he went on his radio show the following morning and cussed out all his viewers and said, y'all didn't go out there and vote. That's why he won, called them everybody dumb and stupid and everything like that. And then I think it was the following day he was down in the Trump Tower in the elevator, sitting next to the devil.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Steve goes to the highest bidder, but in all reality, that's what they're counting on. They're counting on an audience of sycophants. Look it up. They're counting on an audience of flunkies who they don't care how they get it. They would stab their mama in the back too. They would sell out everybody around them too. So really, Steve Harvey is there to send out the dog whistle to, quote, every Negro who's for himself. So get out there and vote with this idea that you're going to get individual benefits, which is the game they're playing there. You notice the things they're naming are not things that would help black people at large. These are things that will only help individuals. Well, I mean, if you have student loan debt, yeah, but most of us don't. Oh, well, this will help you. If you have a felony, we got a few things on the side there. Okay, but I'm not a felon. Oh, well, so you notice that all these little niche things that will only help the individual. So they're really appealing to see how selfish you are. And Steve is the spokesperson for that. And in all reality, I mean, there is a corrupted part of the human psyche and human nature that appeals to. Well, I'm looking out for me. And we're looking out for we. I guess we're going to see who's going to win. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, and that's totally true. And the thing is, I think what the black people, we need to stop being so simple-minded and so stupid and looking for a amen and yes, Lord, and in agreement with someone that already knows the story. When every time they come to, especially with Biden, You guys got to work 10 times harder. You guys are getting treated wrong. This is the same shit that we live. I don't want to curse, but this is the same shit that we live every single day. And they only going to do is talk on that point. But like you always say, that they don't come up with no resolution. How can we fix this situation? It's just that only thing you're going to do is tell us the same sad story that we live every single day. We don't need anyone like that that's going to tell our sad story every single day that we're living.
Yeah, just repeating the same thing over. Okay, we know racism exists. We've been saying that right there. We did the game they play is, well, if we acknowledge it, then that's enough. And because that worked for the civil rights generation. For the civil rights generation, just acknowledging it and patting them on the back, that was okay. That was enough for them. We done sent a soul shock because they're like, damn, it's not enough for these new Negroes. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 617. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
We done seen a soul shock because we're like, damn, it's not enough of these new Negroes.
Okay, caller from area code 617 has abandoned his post. Let me get caller from area code 301. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Mr. Douglas, man. This is me. This is me.
Okay, sir. And where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, man? This is Mr. Douglas. I'm calling from Maryland, man. From D.C., though. DMV area.
Okay, let's try to be a little more specific than that, sir. That's a big, cheap piece of geography. I'll try one more time. Where are you calling from, Mr. Douglas?
Well, I'm in Landover, Maryland. I'm right here by Redskins Stadium.
All right, Mr. Douglas in Landover, what's on your mind?
Hey, man, ain't too much on my mind, but I want to give a shout out to you, man. You're a special individual, man. I like the way you keep going with the persistence and shit like that. Yeah, man. You know, anybody in the D.C. area that's on here, we have the town hall meeting tomorrow. Bald Eagle Recreation.
Okay,
Center.
slow down. Okay, sir, slow down. I'm glad to hear that and everything, but I'm not sure what you're doing there, so I can't promote anything I'm not aware of. But thank you very much for giving us a call. Folks, you all know the pedigree has not changed. You can't ambush the phone lines. We're not a public forum to, quote, get the word out for things we're not aware of, so let's not do that. Caller from area code 323, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Last try. Caller from area code 323, you're on live. Okay, they hung up the phone there, so we probably caught them in the middle of something. Wouldn't want to make issues for them. Let me get caller from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Denise in San Francisco.
All right, Denise in San Francisco. What's on your mind?
I want to say three things. We are winning. When, hey, I remember back in the days when Scamala didn't even exist. We had Willie Brown, we had the NAACP, and we had Nancy Pelosi, and they was ignoring the issue of reparations. And when I heard Scamala up there using our same talking points and talking that fear babbling, I said, whew, they can't ignore us anymore, and they're just talking fear. When I heard that woman, I was just typing up and emailing money out to people in the black media. I sent you some money, and I sent some other people some money. We are winning. I want us to keep up the good work. The only thing I wish is the elders, the true elders that I started off in the reparation movement with in the early 2000s, could have seen her and Harvey up there on that stage.
Well, I mean, think about that for a few moments. This is Steve Harvey on the stage with Kamala Harris. Obviously, he was instructed to reference this, outright referencing, well, you ain't did nothing for black folk and reparations. So his job, if you think about it there, basically in about a minute, he gave himself about 60 seconds to address those things and to say, this is why we're here. And, well, this is addressing it or whatever. Oh, we ain't doing no hard questions. And this is our response about when you ask, what are you doing just for black folk and reparations? And he literally just sat there and said, we don't have to do nothing just for black folk, and you ain't gonna get no reparations. Well, I'm like, okay, well, the meeting is adjourned. You can stop the meeting right now. There's no reason for us to sit here for another 20 minutes and listen to y'all babble. We can stop right now. Now that you've cut to the chase and said, yeah, we're not doing nothing, then why do we need to be here now?
Oh, that was just fear babbling. We really winning. Now they're forced to talk about us.
It's been a long time coming, but yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving us a call, Denise. We appreciate that. And also, I appreciate everyone who has contributed to support our work here tonight. I was taking a look at the crowdfunding here. I think we can be over 60,000 tonight. What do you all think? We got 19 days left, but I think we can get over 60 tonight here because we are making progress. And think about that for a few moments. So Jason wasn't just making this up as he goes along, and he wasn't just pretending. And all the people who told you 4 years ago that they don't hear us, the people who told you 8 years ago they don't hear us, and even when presidential candidates were talking about cut the check, and even when they finally started talking about cash reparations on The View with Sonny Hostin, and with folks, well, it didn't go any further than that. If you believe that, then please explain to me what Steve Harvey just did here a few days ago then. If the message is getting through and if it's not having an impact, then explain to me why he's sitting on that stage with Kamala Harris trying to convince us that it's wrong to say she needs to do something just for black folk, and all he's doing is bringing out the old Pastor Cornbread Pork Chop sermon about how we need to get better at suffering. Meanwhile, he ain't suffering a damn thing. So folks, if the message ain't getting through, shout out Artemis Reacts. If the message ain't getting through here, then what's the point? Tell me why they doing that. If we're not getting through, how's that working out? Why is he saying that if they're not worried? He's literally telling you, folk are calling me. Man, the message is getting through. It's getting through, and he's not going to say that on that stage if he doesn't know it's okay to say it. Steve Harvey did not say that because he was guessing or hoping. He said it because they let him know, okay, you got about 60 seconds. Can you smooth this over with them? And he gave about 60 seconds. He said that because that's what he was sent there to say. We need somebody to confront the criticism before it's made. Folks will be playing this back, and we need somebody to confront the criticism that they're going to make, because they're going to ask about hard questions. You didn't ask any hard questions. You didn't talk about reparations, and you didn't talk about anything specifically for black folk. Folks, they know. All the way up to the White House, they know. Your support of the new black media has worked. That doesn't mean that we stop now. We got a long way to go. But if you were ever questioning whether or not the message was getting through, whether or not they were hearing it, and whether or not they were worried, I said this before with Roland Martin. I said this before with Tom Steyer. I said this before with Bernie Sanders. I said this before with Hillary Clinton. I said this before when Monique Presley was going at me. Baraka. When Baraka was going at me. Folks, don't believe me. I could be sitting up here overhyping it. I could be exaggerating it. Listen to our enemies. Listen to our adversaries. Listen to our opponents. They're saying it. They're saying we don't want to hear this. Right on cue when I told you it would happen, going right on. They wait until election year, and at the last, if they're panicking, they'll say it at the last minute. Folks, they're directly combating us now. They're taking our talking points and trying to fight against that. Head up, straight up. Don't tell me that we haven't been effective. Don't tell me it's not working. Don't tell me that they're not afraid. You all know what fear sounds like. You also know what confidence sounds like. Does that sound like confidence you just heard? Or does that sound like fear? I said it from the very beginning here that I am going to put this in you all's hands, but just remember, we're going to get out of it what we put into it. We're up against a very well financed, very well organized, and very well determined opposition. Out of those things right there, we can at least be more organized and more determined. We can at least beat them at that. Mr. Collington, Mr. Jackson, Walter, Terry, Angela, and everybody else who has supported tonight's program, along with all of you over there on our crowdfunding Thank you. Thank you for your support tonight here. It is thankless work. Let me tell you right now, it's thankless work. We don't get to be superstars. We don't get to be celebrities. We don't get parades. Nobody's going to make a holiday for us. We are soldiers. We're unsung heroes. And I'm all right with that. I do this in service to the people, and I hope you'll join us. But I want to thank all of you for being here with us here. I don't know if I'm going to be on tomorrow night. I might be on tomorrow night. Don't be surprised if I am. If I'm on tomorrow night, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if I surprise you. I might. Got a lot going on over here as well. You know, still working on the documentary here, but I might be on tomorrow night. We'll see how things shake down. But I wanted to bring this to you all tonight. I felt like you couldn't wait. So we had to go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We usually do this every weekend, but for Juneteenth, we've been throwing it out there. So this is how we're doing it. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, go to blackchannelfilms.com and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m. Gentrified Race War. And if you have not joined us for our upcoming documentary, 8 a.m., you can already see what's coming here. I want you all to join us for that as well. The link is in the description. Also, they'll post it in the chat room as well, so I want to have you be a part of that. I want to thank everyone for standing by us here for the last decade and a half. It hasn't been in vain. It hasn't been for nothing. You have made a difference, and tonight is your proof. As for me, I'm nobody. I'm just the messenger. You are the message I came to bring them. You said you demand tangibles. You said you demand reparations. So, they can take their shots at me all they want to, but I'm not concerned about that. I'm just the messenger. All of you are the message I came to bring them. And they're going to hear it whether they want to or not. And as you've seen, they're hearing it. They're screaming and yelling and squealing in agony, but they're getting the message. Now let's make sure we send them a message they'll never forget. I want to thank you all for tuning into tonight's program. Thank you for watching live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, all of my brothers and all of my sisters from all around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.